reporting once again from the National Weather Service office in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm meteorologist Donald Jones. Just want to provide you with an update on the ongoing severe weather threat across the region this morning. As we head into this afternoon, you can see a squall line of relatively strong showers and thunderstorms developing across the area. That was as expected, and we now have our first tornado warning across our area for the event. Let me go ahead and make this full screen and I'll show you what we're looking at here. You can see that tornado warning currently in effect for parts of northwestern Vernon Parish as well as extreme northeastern Newton County. So this is going to include the Toledo Bend area as well as Anacoco there in Vernon Parish, kind of on the north end of that. There is a pretty well-defined area of rotation within this cell here, and that's kind of what we were expecting to potentially be the case. We were looking at the possibility of tornadoes kind of being embedded within this squall line. In addition to the threat for damaging winds, you can see a fairly large severe thunderstorm warning in effect for, this is actually just north of the area that we cover, but includes the Manny and Natchitoches area. And there actually is a smaller severe thunderstorm warning on the western side of Toledo Bend. That is for strong winds. Now, kind of zooming out here and taking a little bit broader scale view, you can see the large squall line essentially extending from north to south across our entire region. And anywhere within that is going to have the potential to see some very strong winds and the possibility of a few of these spin-up tornadoes. Again, the only tornado warning in effect right now is for northwestern Vernon Parish. It does include the Toledo Bend area as well as Anacoco. We'll see how this holds together. If it does, then we may be looking at it approaching the Leesville area here over the next little while. Now, this whole storm system is moving from west to east across the area, so pretty much everybody is going to see it as we go through the early part to mid part of the afternoon. You can see Tyler and Hardin counties have already seen it. Actually, the severe weather threat is pretty much over with for Tyler and most of Hardin County, except the extreme eastern parts of Hardin County at this time. Once the squall line actually moves through your particular area, the severe threat will essentially be over with from that point. You see the new tornado warning box just appearing there. Let me go ahead and stop this on the last volume scan there. That is another tornado warning box that is actually issued from the Weather Service office in the Shreveport area. That's why those boxes don't exactly line up, but seeing another area of rotation kind of on the northern edge of Vernon Parish and moving just to the north of those areas kind of into, or will be moving into, the Kisatchie area over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. So actually two separate tornado warning boxes. I'm not certain if these are two separate areas of rotation or just a single area of rotation that's kind of moving in between both our warning area as well as Shreveport's warning area. But nonetheless, we are looking at tornado warnings in effect for northern Vernon Parish. It's kind of hard to see. What I just did there was actually switch over to the velocity view to see if we could actually see the rotation. We're looking at the Fort Polk radar right now, so we've got a pretty good look at it, but I'm not seeing too much in the way of real obvious rotation on here. This is kind of the area we're looking at right up in here for the possible tornado, and then there may be another area of rotation right up in this area here just to the west of the Hornbeck area. Those are the two areas we're looking at for possible rotation associated with these tornado warnings. Now, in addition to this, a tornado watch has been issued for the entire region until 7 p.m. this evening. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be looking at tornado conditions until 7 p.m. this evening. In fact, like I just said, parts of Tyler and Hardin counties are actually done with the tornado watch, or are done with the tornado threat, I should say. So don't be surprised to see the tornado watch actually be canceled kind of from west to east as this line moves through. But as of right now, tornado watch currently in effect until 7 p.m. for the entire region. Of course, for Southeast Texas, it's not going to last nearly that long. And as that line progresses east, that tornado watch will gradually be canceled. It's just kind of the way they issue tornado watches. They have to issue it for an entire area, and then we kind of cancel it bit by bit as the risk overall kind of reduces. But you can see that tornado watch extends all the way up into parts of northwest and north central Louisiana as well. In fact, this tornado watch extends all the way across Arkansas and even into southern Missouri, because that's about how far this squall line actually extends. It goes all the way from here in our area all the way up through the central part of the country. So there's a very large tornado watch box because tornadoes possible. Kind of zooming out here, you can see there are actually some flash flood warnings across parts of northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. So this squall line, it doesn't show up on here because our radar only goes out so far, but the squall line extends all the way up into the mid part of the country. So again, we do have 2 tornado watches currently in effect, one for northern Vernon Parish, that's going to be just to the west of the Leesville area, and then another one just to the north of that, just on the northern edge of Vernon Parish here. Those are our first 2 tornado warnings that have been issued so far this afternoon, but the tornado risk will continue along with the threat for some damaging winds as well. We're looking at the possibility of 60 mile per hour or greater winds within this squall line as it moves across the region. You can see it currently basically extends from north to south, kind of bisecting Newton County at the moment. Most of Jasper County is now actually done with the severe weather threat. It is still raining across those areas, but the severe weather threat is going to kind of be in. You see these yellows and reds here right along the squall line there. That is where we're expecting the largest severe weather threat and, of course, the heaviest rainfall as well. You can see some shower and thunderstorm activity getting going in the DeRidder area out in front of the actual main squall line itself. We're going to keep an eye on these for any kind of potential significant development. We may see a couple of supercell thunderstorms try to get developing out in front of this line. So far, that hasn't been the case. But those storms that are kind of out in front of that main squall line do have kind of an indication that we could be seeing something going a little bit in that area. Now, this whole system is going to continue to the east here over the next several hours. So we're going to be looking at it moving through the Lake Charles area, probably between about 1 and 2 p.m. this afternoon. For the Alexandria area, you're probably looking at also kind of that same time frame between about 1 and 2 p.m. this afternoon. Getting over a little bit further to the east, over towards the Jennings and Crawley area, probably between about 2 and 3. Lafayette down towards New Iberia, probably between about 3 and 4 p.m. Rima's asking me, will rain showers persist after the line passes through? If you take a look kind of behind the line there, you do see there are some light showers continuing kind of behind that. That'll probably be for another hour or so once the main line moves through, but we're not expecting severe weather once that main line moves through. So it'll just be kind of some light, maybe moderate showers developing, and it's going to be kind of scattered. It's not going to be everywhere, but yeah, you could see a few showers once the main line moves through, but there's not going to be a severe threat once the line does move through. Kathy says, I just got all kinds of tornado warnings on your phone. You're in Leesville. What's going on? We do have a tornado warning currently in effect. It's officially not for Leesville. Actually, Leesville is just to the just outside of that tornado warning box. We'll see if this needs to be reissued here over the next little while. But the potential tornado is going to be right in this area here. That's the area that we're looking at for the possibility of a tornado. It's west of the Leesville area, just east of Toledo Bend, but it is moving kind of in that general direction. So if it holds together or continues to intensify, then we may be looking at that tornado warning extending into Leesville proper. But for the moment, Leesville is actually just outside of this tornado warning box. Sarah says, my kids said sirens are going off in Natchitoches at their high school. Yeah, because there is a tornado warning in effect, actually just south of that area. But there is also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Natchitoches area proper. That line of storms you can see up there will be approaching Natchitoches here probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes. And they are looking at some very strong straight line winds, but they're not actually in a tornado warning. But they are in a severe thunderstorm warning. You see another tornado warning box issued. Again, this is going to be the up towards the Shreveport area. There's actually a few of them up across parts of North Louisiana. And again, all of these just east of the Coshada area, northeast of Natchitoches, another tornado warning. So anywhere along this line, as we've kind of talked about, there is going to be the risk of tornadoes. We do have now 4 different tornado warnings in effect for parts of central Louisiana. And that's kind of what we anticipated occurring, and that is basically kind of what we're seeing happen right now. Now, so far, no tornado warnings have been issued essentially south of Vernon Parish, but that's not to say we couldn't see some kind of spin up here over the next little while. Amanda says the lights are flickering at our house in the Fort Polk area. That is probably right now more so due to just the strong winds out ahead of this than the actual line itself. Now, it's possible that we could see even stronger winds within the line as it moves through the Fort Polk area. But right now, we are still looking at 40+ mile an hour winds. Outside of that, just what we call the gradient winds, just the winds associated with this low pressure area outside of the thunderstorms. Ashley says, any ideas how bad in the time frame for Jennings? Again, we're kind of looking at probably for the Jennings area, we'll be looking at somewhere between about, let's see, we got 12 o'clock now, probably between about 1 and 2:30-ish for the line to actually move through that area, just depending on exactly how quickly it moves. It's moving at a pretty decent clip, about 40, 45 miles an hour. But sometimes these lines, they speed up, they slow down a little bit. So it's hard to put an exact time on it. But that's kind of the estimate as far as when for that area. Natalie says the winds are so high in New Iberia. And you notice that's well ahead. You know, we're not even looking at any rain anywhere near New Iberia right now. You're still a good couple of hours away from getting in on this squall line. That's actually winds that are well ahead of the squall line itself. 40, 50 mile an hour winds we were anticipating, and that does look to be occurring out ahead of this line of storms. Chandra asked, what time is it going to get bad in Lake Charles? Probably within the next hour or so. I'd be say probably within the next half hour, maybe between about 12:30 and 1:30 is kind of when we're expecting this to move through the Lake Charles area. Same thing for DeQuincy. Shorty's asking about that. Should there be anything to worry about? Yes. Kind of what we're talking about. We've got a tornado watch in effect. We could see a tornado develop at any time in any location across our area. And that does include the Lake Charles area as well. And DeQuincy, I'm sorry. Edith asked about what time will it hit the orange area. It's getting ready to go through the orange area right now. We're starting to see showers and thunderstorms getting into the orange area. The main line itself is still back towards the Beaumont area right now, but it'll be in the orange area probably within the next 30 minutes or so. Stormy says Leesville with a tornado warning. Actually, the tornado warning did not include Leesville. Leesville is actually just outside of the tornado warning box. You see the eastern edge of the box there, and the town of Leesville is actually just outside of that. Not by much, but it is. So the town of Leesville officially not in a tornado warning right now, but very close to one. Mary says the winds are picking up in New Orleans too. Yeah, you're still several hours away from seeing this in the New Orleans area. But again, those gradient winds, those strong winds just in the vicinity of this low pressure area is going to result in some very gusty winds in the New Orleans area through the rest of the afternoon. Okay. So I've been told that we've got a new tornado warning getting ready to come out here, and that's going to be near the Buna area. We'll see once that pops up on the screen here, but that will be, again, we're still looking at the risk of tornadoes potentially popping up anywhere along this line. We currently have 4 different tornado warnings in effect across the region. This next one is going to be near the Buna area. So as soon as that pops up here momentarily, we'll take a closer look at that. Ashley says, is there an actual tornado near Fort Polk or just small rotation? We do not have any reports of anybody having actually seen the tornado, and it's not near Fort Polk necessarily right now. As far as exactly where it is, it's actually just to the west, a few miles west of Leesville. Now, it is moving in that general direction, but it's not there yet. This is a radar-indicated tornado, so there hasn't been any actual confirmation of a tornado on the ground yet. But radar-indicated tornadoes are certainly enough to issue tornado warnings for. So I'm just hearing the alarm behind me indicating that that tornado warning that we just discussed has just been issued and should show up on our map here momentarily. Austin says, how fast would you say this storm is moving compared to the system we saw last week? In terms of kind of west to east motion, it's moving much more quickly than the system we saw last week. The other one, we were more concerned with a flash flood threat because it was moving actually much slower. This one is actually moving at a much higher rate of speed. We're looking at about a 45 miles an hour or so forward motion on this. So that's good news. That means we're not going to be looking at a significant flash flood threat with this. So here's our new tornado warning that just came out. You can see it covers just east of the Buna area, just north of Deweyville and Starks. This will be the northwestern corner of Calcasieu Parish, DeQuincy right on the edge of that, but more kind of southwestern Beauregard Parish is kind of the area we're looking for. I'm trying to see if we can get a look at exactly where that area of rotation is. I'm not seeing it on here. I'm actually going to move over to my actual radar screen here that I've got in-house, which I used to be able to show you, but I'm actually dealing with some computer issues with regards to that, so I can't actually show it to you at the moment, but I want to actually see where. Okay, so the area of rotation we're looking at right now, there's not really a really good point of reference at the moment, other than it's probably about 5 miles roughly north of the Deweyville area right now. So right up in this area here, it's difficult to actually pinpoint it here on this particular graphic, but that is the area we're actually looking at where the potential rotation is, right up in this area here. So it's going to be crossing the county line into Louisiana, kind of right on the northwest corner of Calcasieu Parish into southwestern Beauregard Parish. So, you know, kind of backing out a little bit here, we continue to have several tornado warnings. You can see extending all the way from, you know, central Louisiana all the way down south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 different tornado warnings in effect at the moment. So quite a few across the region here. And this one that was just issued here is going to be crossing from southern Newton County into southwestern Beauregard Parish within the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. A couple of people asking about or saying that they've lost power kind of out ahead of this line, and that's mainly due to those strong winds. We were expecting that to be a possibility when we're talking about 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, even outside of the storm system itself. Then that's always going to result in at least some isolated power outages, and we have gotten some reports of some of those power outages today, even ahead of this line of thunderstorms, and completely independent of the actual tornado threat or severe wind threat. Hugh says, SPC's initial day 2 outlook mentioned longer track QLCS tornadoes than typical. Are we still expecting this? Long track tornadoes typically don't occur in a squall. No, you're absolutely right. And generally, I expect these tornadoes within the squall line to be generally on the weaker side. There is still the possibility that we could see a longer-lived tornado, but I would expect that more likely to occur outside of this line, actually kind of ahead of it, if we see any kind of development of individual cells out in front of it, which we really haven't seen much of. So, you know, it's impossible to tell on radar exactly how strong a potential tornado is. Even looking at a tornado in real life, you know, in person, you can't really tell exactly what the wind speeds are. It's only by actually going to observe the damage that we can actually determine what the wind speeds of those storms actually are. But I think generally speaking, like you say, most of the time, tornadoes that occur within these squall lines tend to be somewhat on the weaker side. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not still capable of causing significant damage. Jordan asks, approximately at what point after the front passes will the wind die down enough for the high wind warning to be able to expire for Lake Charles? I expect that once the squall line passes, the winds are going to come down from high wind warning criteria. It is still going to be breezy. Of course, the winds are going to switch to more out of the north, but they will still be kind of breezy through the afternoon and evening. But we're not going to be looking at the 40 to 50 mile an hour winds that we've seen earlier today. So once the front gets through, we'll probably be looking at closer to maybe 20, 25 mile an hour wind gusts as opposed to the 50 miles an hour we've seen this morning. Joey says, please define the difference between a watch and a warning. A tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch means that conditions are favorable for development of severe weather or tornadoes. A tornado warning means that a tornado has either been spotted or indicated by radar. So, we kind of use the analogy that, think about it like food. When you have all the ingredients prepared and laid out and ready to cook, that's kind of your watch. When you actually put the food together and cook it and now it's a meal, that's your warning. So that's kind of the analogy we try to use sometimes. Jeff asks, can I talk a little bit about people who still have tarps on their roofs and still need repairs? Are these types of high winds that could potentially inflict new damage on them? Yes, they absolutely are. Unfortunately, both the winds within the storm, the squall line itself, and the winds kind of ahead of it, those 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, those are definitely capable of causing some damage, especially to roofs and buildings that are already or continue to be damaged. So let's take a quick look here at kind of what we've got going on right now. Again, we've got a couple of tornado warnings here. The one that is just west of Leesville, that cell is actually approaching the Leesville area as we speak. I'm actually looking at a different computer here. I just want to kind of see where the areas of rotation are on these cells. It looks like we've got kind of another little area of rotation developing across kind of northern Orange County. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if that might necessitate the issuance of a warning. But I'm taking a look at the area up near Leesville right now. I want to see if there's still some significant rotation with that. It looks like there is still some decent rotation there. So it looks like the best rotation is actually going to be just to the north of Leesville, but not by much, maybe only about a mile or so. It's right up in this area here that we're looking at. Let me see if I can zoom out so you can actually see. And better yet, let me come over here. So here's Leesville, and this is the area we're talking about right up in this area here, just about a mile or so north of the Leesville area. That is still showing some decent signs of broad rotation. We'll see if the tornado warning is extended further to the east to include Leesville, and if so, it'll probably also include the Fort Polk area as well, or at least just to the north of the Fort Polk area. If they do, that'll be coming out momentarily. And then the other cell that we're looking at, the other tornado warning, is down here, just getting ready to cross the Newton County and the state line into southwestern portions of Beauregard Parish. This will essentially be moving in the general direction, kind of south of the Fields area and in the general direction of DeQuincy, although it'll be another probably 15 minutes or so before it actually gets into the DeQuincy area. Hugh says it's the old taco watch and taco warning. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was kind of making my difference between watches and warnings there. Amanda asks, how concerned should we be for tornadoes and water spouts in Cameron Parish? There is going to be a risk. I think the overall tornado risk kind of decreases as we get closer to the coastline. But there's a risk for tornadoes and or water spouts across the entire area. You can see we've got tornado warning boxes down as far south as northwestern Calcasieu Parish. And we do have a new tornado warning, looks like was just issued here. You can see that new box there. This is going to include the DeRidder area as well as Maryville. Let me kind of get a bearing on exactly where that rotation area is. Okay, looks like we're probably looking at that rotation area probably about 4 or 5 miles south of Maryville and just to the west of Singer. We're seeing several areas of rotation actually now beginning to develop along this line. Within both of these tornado warning boxes, they're kind of difficult to see on this graphic here. I need to try to see if I can find some better ways to differentiate, but we kind of got the tornado circulation right up in here. We've got another one kind of back in this area here, and a third one kind of back in this area here just to the west of DeQuincy. So there are several areas of rotation that we're presently keeping an eye on, and we do have tornado warnings out for. So we are currently looking at those, and then in addition to that, we're also still have a tornado warning box here. This is actually, let's see. So the one up near the Leesville area has actually been allowed to expire. So that's certainly some good news. You are likely looking at some very heavy rainfall in the Leesville area. And that is going to continue for probably the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. But the tornado threat, at least for now, has diminished in that area. Lance asks, will the cooling effect from the Gulf help along the coast? I hear this being talked about every now and again. What you're referring to is actually the marine layer. And yeah, it's the idea that the cooler waters of the Gulf of Mexico can actually inhibit strong and severe weather development. And yeah, that does play a role. You know, we are still seeing, but if you kind of come out here, you see the strongest of the squall line here is kind of off, say, north of I-10. And then as you get closer to the coastline, it's not quite as strong. Now, part of that is because we're actually looking at the Fort Polk radar. If I switch over to the Lake Charles radar, it's probably going to show up a little bit more well-defined. But the severe threat does tend to decrease as we get closer to the coastline, and that does have a partially due to the cooling effect of the cooler Gulf waters there. So you can see it does look a little bit stronger here on the Lake Charles radar closer to the coastline there. Let me see if we can see these circulation areas any better on the Lake Charles radar. Not really. I'm going to give me some better color tables here, so hopefully we can see that better going on in the future here. But we do still have a couple of tornado warnings out, 3 actually. This new one was actually just issued here just a minute ago. So that one that was allowed to expire west of Leesville has actually been reissued and does now include Leesville. So we do have a tornado warning in effect for the Leesville area. And if there is a tornado in that area, it's going to be moving through the Leesville area as we speak. So again, we do have a tornado warning in effect for the Leesville area with the area of circulation, the area of rotation moving through the Leesville area basically right now. Kind of on the northern side of the Leesville area. This is going to continue to the east and will be traveling just to the south of the Slagle area. And if this holds together for another 20 minutes or so, it'll actually be bearing down on the Fort Polk radar itself here. So if you're in the Leesville area, if you're in the Fort Polk area, especially on the north side of Fort Polk, you are looking at a possible tornado on the ground in that area. All right, just trying to catch up on a couple of the questions and comments here. Timothy asked, does the radar still indicate tornado rotation in the Leesville warning box? If so, where? That's kind of what we just talked about. There is a tornado warned storm with rotation in the Leesville area right now. The strongest rotation is actually just on the north side of Leesville as we speak. Hugh says there's too many tornado warnings. Yeah, we've got several tornado warnings. We've got 4 different ones in effect right now, just in our area, and there's even more up further to the north. Let me kind of zoom out here. You can see there's a line essentially of tornado warnings across the region right now. So we've got altogether, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different tornado warnings ongoing across central and southwest Louisiana right now, all associated and all buried within this line of severe weather that we were expecting to develop. It looks like it has developed kind of as anticipated. So there are all kinds of different areas of rotation developing right now. We're trying to keep up with each one of them here, so bear with me while we kind of go through them. We've got one here. Let me see exactly where that first one is going to be. So basically, we've got one for extreme northern Vernon Parish. This is going to include it's actually just to the east of the Anacoco area right now, and kind of moving south of Kirkwood, and kind of in between Hutton and Simpson there. The second one is actually going to be just to the east of Leesville. This is kind of central Vernon Parish. So there's another one, and that one's actually the better looking of the two, just to the east of Leesville now. The actual area of rotation is east of Leesville at the moment. So if you're in the Leesville area, you are actually should be safe to come out of your safe zones at this point, as the storm is east of Leesville, but still moving kind of on the north side of Fort Polk, and will likely be going just to the south of Slagle here over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Kind of zooming back out, we do still have more tornado warnings. We've got another one here just to the south of the Maryville area. This one is also continuing to the east here. Let's see. So that one is actually just to the east of Maryville right now, and continuing to move to the east, kind of rural parts of central Beauregard Parish. And then we've got another tornado warning here. This one, you see how it's kind of been updated there to remove Newton County. This one is southwestern Beauregard Parish and northwestern Calcasieu Parish, with the actual area of rotation itself actually on the Beauregard Parish side, kind of a few miles north of the Starks area, but just ever so slightly on the Beauregard Parish side there. It is going to be moving in the general direction of the DeQuincy area, and will likely move into DeQuincy if it holds together for maybe another 10 minutes or so. Shelly says, hi, Donald. My friend Derek from Oregon is flying out of New Orleans around 5:45. He's unsure if this is safe weather to fly out in. Well, the good news is that your airline is not going to fly out in unsafe weather. They have certain criteria by which they decide whether to fly or not, and they definitely will not fly if conditions are unsafe. So you don't have to worry about that. Having said that, this line will be moving in that direction, and we'll probably be getting into parts of the New Orleans area by around that time frame. So he may be dealing with some rough weather and possibly some delays. Tricia asked, was there a tornado west of DeQuincy? There still is a potential tornado west of DeQuincy. Now, it's not confirmed. It's radar indicated, but there is a tornado warning that does include the DeQuincy area, and the area of rotation associated with that is likely to move into the DeQuincy area. It's right up in this area here, and that's moving to the east, potentially into the DeQuincy area within the next probably 10 or 15 minutes or so. So if you are in the DeQuincy area, you definitely want to seek shelter at this point for a possible tornado. Dana asks, has there been anything confirmed? No, not yet. All of these have been radar indicated tornadoes. I have not received any reports of any actual tornadoes on the ground at this point. They've all been just areas of rotation that we've been keeping an eye on. So again, we've got essentially northwestern Calcasieu Parish, southwestern Beauregard Parish in one warning. We've got a second warning that covers essentially all of northern Beauregard Parish that did include Maryville, although the area of rotation is east of Maryville now, so that's no longer a threat. That will be moving into or just south of the DeRidder area here over the next little while. Then we've got another tornado warning just to the east of Leesville. That is going to be moving through the north, kind of between the north side of Fort Polk and Slagle over the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. And then we've got yet another tornado warning. This one is up just east of the Kirkwood area, where that area of rotation is. And that'll be moving into the Hutton, kind of between Hutton and Simpson over the next 5 or 10 minutes. Madison asks, is there rotation on top of North Fort Polk? It's in that vicinity. Yeah, it's kind of on the north side. You see where North Fort Polk is listed there. It's kind of just north of that, kind of northeast of Leesville. Let me come back to my main camera here, and I can point it out to you here. So here's North Fort Polk, here's Leesville. This is our area of rotation, kind of in between there. It's going to be traveling kind of almost due east, so just to the south of Slagle and just to the north of the north side of Fort Polk. Lori asks, where is the rotation in southwest Beauregard Parish? That one is actually moving just to the west of the DeQuincy area and moving kind of towards the DeQuincy area as we speak. Now, it's still probably about 4 or 5 miles west of the DeQuincy area. It's not showing nearly as strong rotation as it was just a few scans ago, which is certainly some good news. If there was a tornado there, it may have or may be in the process of dissolving, so hopefully that's the case. But there is still a tornado warning in effect for that area. Let me see how much longer that's actually in effect for here. Press the button. That is going to continue until Oh, this is taking too long. The point is, it's still in effect. I can't even find where it is. Until 12:30. There you go. Finally got it. Nancy asked, for picking up kids at school between 2:15 to 3:15, how does it look for Lake Charles? This should be through the Lake Charles area by that time. We'll be looking at it moving through Lake Charles probably within the next hour or so. So I think by 2:15, the severe weather aspect of it should be through the Lake Charles area. Hugh says, hey, Donald, did we expect this many tornado warnings? Well, I mean, we have a tornado watch in effect. We've been talking about the possibility of tornadoes. You can't really predict how many tornado warnings you're going to issue. That's kind of beyond our abilities, but it was always a threat. It continues to be a threat. The biggest threat was always expected to be damaging winds with this system, but we did have a possibility of tornadoes, and we've seen that develop today. That's why we've been doing our Facebook Live briefings and trying to get everybody aware of this situation for the last couple of days. Jay says, if a tornado doesn't touch down, is it still considered a tornado? No, that would be, if you see an area of rotation, but it doesn't actually reach the ground, that's just considered a funnel cloud. It's not a tornado until it actually reaches the ground. Carrie's asking, is there a tornado in DeQuincy? There is a tornado-warned storm moving towards the DeQuincy area. You can see it right here. This is the area of rotation that we're watching, and it's on about maybe 3 miles or so west of DeQuincy right now and moving in that general direction. So if you're in the DeQuincy area, you definitely want to seek shelter for the possibility of a tornado. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but there is a radar-indicated tornado moving into the DeQuincy area. Sherry asked, do you see anything around the dam on Toledo Bend? Not anymore. There was earlier, but the severe weather threat has moved east of that area now. So no longer a severe weather threat in the Toledo Bend Dam area. Kaylee asks, has the weather made it to Sulphur yet? No, still west of Sulphur at this point. The line of storms is kind of essentially crossing the state line right now, depending on exactly where you're at. As far as Calcasieu Parish, it's just kind of getting into western Calcasieu. Alicia says, are you sure hurricane season hasn't come early? No, this is not a hurricane, even though the winds kind of make you think otherwise. Gary Scott asks, why are the winds and clouds blowing north, but the radar show the storm moving east? Well, if I put this into motion for you here, you can see the individual storms are moving kind of to the northeast, but the line as a whole, the squall line itself is moving from west to east. So the individual clouds that you're seeing outside your house are going to be moving kind of more from southwest to northeast, but the whole system is moving from west to east. So you kind of got two different motions going there, but that's why you're actually seeing more of a northward component to it, because the individual storms within that line are kind of moving more to the northeast. All right, so we're continuing to see what we've got here. We've actually got, stop. So we've got a new tornado warning that's actually just come out here for the very near the Rose Pine area. Let's see. So that's going to be right, the area of circulation is just near the Rose Pine area, and there's possibly another one kind of right near the Pickering area at this time. And that is in addition to the two other tornado warnings we still have in effect. One is going to be this one we've been looking at, moving kind of between the northern side of Fort Polk and Slagle. And then another one east of the Maryville area, kind of north of the Singer area, and what is otherwise kind of a generally rural part of central Beauregard Parish. So we've got three different tornado warnings in effect across our area, kind of zooming out here. Up across North Louisiana, we've got four more from Natchitoches up towards the Jonesboro area, and even just to the west of Monroe up in North Louisiana. Those are actually issued by the Weather Service office in Shreveport. But back across our area, we currently have three different tornado warnings in effect. You can see that blue box down there across Sabine Lake. That is a special marine warning that has been issued for Sabine Lake. That is for winds of 40 miles an hour plus on the lake. So that's for any mariners that are hopefully not out and about on there today. But if they are, they need to seek shelter immediately. Not a good day for boating. Nardy Nard asks, for the Leesville area, is the tornado in the area now, or is it east of the area? The tornado, or the potential tornado, is east of the Leesville area now. We're looking at it kind of between the north side of Fort Polk and Slagle right now. Jamie asked, when will DeQuincy be in the clear? We're going to be looking at it moving through the DeQuincy area momentarily here. Now, the good news for the DeQuincy area, that tornado warning that was in effect has been allowed to expire. And taking a quick look kind of at the radar here and the rotation, it does not appear that there's too much left to that area of rotation at the moment. Now, having said that, you are still looking at the potential for some very strong winds and, of course, very heavy rainfall as this line moves through the DeQuincy area, probably within the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. As far as when you'll actually be in the clear, I'd give it probably about 30 to 45 minutes for this line to roll through, so maybe by about 1:15. Patricia asks, can I get to Lake Charles from Moss Bluff now, or should I wait? You can probably go if you leave right now. I wouldn't wait too much longer to go, though. Carmen's asking about the chances of tornado warning for Welsh. It's a possibility. I can't give you an exact odd of needing a tornado warning, but we are looking at 4 different tornado warnings now across parts of our area. So, you know, there's a decent possibility you could be looking at it. This new one here was just issued. This is, let's see, this is going to be northeastern corner of Vernon Parish and northwestern corner of Rapides. So that's going to include Hutton, Temple, up towards Flatwoods, just to the west of Boyce. And again, this is an area of rotation. This is actually kind of a continuation, most likely, of the storm system that moved through Leesville just a short time ago. Let me see what kind of rotation we're looking at on there. Okay, this is actually, the rotation on that's separate. It's actually kind of right along the Vernon Rapides parish line, or parish lines there, and that is moving to the east. So again, we've got 4 tornado warnings now currently in effect across the region here. All of them kind of north of I-10. We're looking essentially Beauregard Parish up towards Vernon Parish, and just now starting to get into parts of western or northwestern Rapides Parish. That's where our tornado warnings are at the moment. Andrea is asking, is there anything for DeRidder? Well, DeRidder is looking at actually 2 tornado warnings kind of overlapping you right now, and the squall line itself is moving through DeRidder right now. So if you're in that area, then you're kind of in the middle of experiencing the worst of it as we speak. Sarah's asking, when will Orange be in the clear? We're looking at Orange. You're kind of going through the worst of it as we speak also. So probably within the next 15 or 30 minutes, once that line of storms gets east of you, you're still going to be looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms, but the severe weather threat will be over with at that point. Jessica is in Flatwoods. Flatwoods is in that tornado warning that was just issued up that way, and actually there was another tornado warning issued by the Shreveport office kind of north of that to cover this entire area. The area of rotation that spawned that is actually moving in the direction of Flatwoods. It may be just to the south of Flatwoods, but it's going to be within just a couple of miles of there. So if you're in that area, you definitely want to seek shelter immediately. Have your safe room or your safe area, whether that be a closet or a bathroom. Now would be the time to go to that because that area of rotation is heading very close to the Flatwoods area. Megan's asking, what's Jeff Davis looking like? The activity hasn't gotten to Jeff Davis yet, but it's coming. Kind of coming back down south here. The line itself is just getting into parts of western Calcasieu. We'll be getting into the Vinton area here probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. And then, so Jeff Davis Parish will probably be seeing us go through that area probably closer to 1 o'clock. Denise is asking about the direction of travel of the rotation near Rose Pine. Let me see if I can get a handle on exactly where that is. Bear with me just a moment. Let me take a look at the radar. The rotation, the area of rotation is actually east of Rose Pine. So if you're in the Rose Pine area, you're actually in the clear, even though there is still a tornado warning in effect. This line is actually largely moved through the Rose Pine area as of right now. So the tornado, if there is one, it's going to be kind of on the eastern edge of this here. So if you're in Rose Pine proper, you should be safe to kind of let your guard down here at this point. Dawn is asking, is northwest of Leesville in the clear? My dogs are not liking being in the bathroom. Yeah, the Leesville area is in the clear now. You can come out of your bathroom now, let your dogs free. The tornado warning is still in effect for that area, but you can see there on the map here, if I kind of zoom in a little bit, the strongest of the activity as well as the rotation for tornado is well to the east of the Leesville area. So you are in the clear in Leesville. It's obviously still raining pretty good out there, but the tornado threat has passed.
Jade says, my fiance has to bring me in a car from Toyota. When will I be able to drive back to Westlake?
If you can go now would be the time to go. If not, then I would probably hunker down and wait until probably after this gets through, which will probably be sometime around 2 o'clock or so, maybe a little bit before that. April asks, what time will it get to the Baton Rouge area? You're probably looking at it in the Baton Rouge area sometime mid to late afternoon, so probably between about 4 and 6 p.m., sometime in that time range. Angie asks, when will Vinton be clear? Vinton will be clear probably once the line gets through. The line is just approaching that area now. You'll probably see it through there sometime in the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, and then you'll be clear from there. Patrick says Nelson Road from 210 to Country Club looks like they're out of power. And again, since that's well ahead of this line of storms, that's actually more probably due to the strong winds that are out there right now than anything to do with the line of storms itself. Okay, so again, just reading through your questions and comments here. Bear with me just a moment. Got to catch my breath and get a drink of water here. We've been going for about an hour here. Gulp, gulp, gulp. All right, let's kind of recap here before I answer some more questions. We currently have 4 different tornado warnings in effect across our area. There are more tornado warnings up across central and northern Louisiana here. So you can see, again, we've kind of got this line of tornadoes all together. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different tornado warnings in effect. And the yellow box there is a severe thunderstorm warning. That is a lot of tornado warnings. So we've got 4 specifically in the area that we cover, and there's actually a 5th. You see that new box just popped up there. Let's take a look at that one real quick before we kind of recap again. This one is... Let's see, where are we? This is going to be eastern Vernon Parish and kind of west central Rapides Parish. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm honestly not familiar with every one of the smaller towns here, but we've got Hicks. This is going to be moving through the Hicks area basically as we speak. Let me see if I can get an idea on exactly where this area of rotation is. Okay, it looks like this area of rotation is actually just to the north of our Fort Polk radar here, if that's correct. And then there's several others.
That is right to the north. It was just issued right to the north of the Fort Polk radars, not right to the north. We're looking at rotation actually passing through.
Yeah, so let me actually, I'm going to switch over to the Fort Polk radar here. Chanel actually came back. I think she was taking a nap, but she's back in here to help me out again, since maybe actually let me breathe here for a second. Give that just a moment to load here, and we'll actually be able to take a closer look at it here. You can see the little circle there with kind of nothing in it. That's actually our Fort Polk radar, and an area that we affectionately refer to as the cone of silence. And the area of rotation here is actually just on the north side of this, basically going right through the Hicks area as we speak. It's kind of hard to still see on this particular radar view. But it is there right in the Hicks area, and this is moving to the east. So areas that are going to be impacted here are hopefully not our Fort Polk radar, but very possibly it's going to be very close. And then kind of moving to the east here, I'm not too familiar with these smaller towns, Leander, Seeper, so don't be upset if I'm butchering your town name. I do apologize. I've only been here for 800 years. You would think I would know all these little town names by now. But there are several different areas of rotation. You can see kind of this swath of warning boxes that are just kind of interlocking across the entire region here, from Vernon Parish into parts of western Rapides Parish. And a lot of people keep asking, what are we going to get a tornado at my place? My place at this point, pretty much everybody's got a tornado right along this, or a tornado warning right along the squall line here. And it's been pretty consistent, so there's no reason to think that that's going to change anytime soon. Again, we don't have any confirmed tornadoes on the ground at this point. It's all been radar indicated tornadoes, but especially when it comes to rain-wrapped tornadoes like this, it's oftentimes that we won't receive any kind of confirmation of damage or a tornado having occurred until after the storm is actually over. So again, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tornado warnings in effect across our region at the moment. And these are all moving to the east, generally from kind of central Beauregard Parish through pretty much all of eastern Vernon Parish and western Rapides Parish. Several different areas of circulation that are ongoing across here. It's kind of difficult to talk about each individual one, but let's kind of try to see if we can break it down here. Actually, the tornado warning that was in effect for, let's see, that was kind of central Beauregard Parish. That one has actually been allowed to expire. So Maryville, you are now in the clear. Singer is in the clear. Fields is in the clear. Anywhere west of those areas in Beauregard Parish is also in the clear. DeQuincy, you're actually dealing with that line finally getting into your area. You had an earlier tornado warning, but that was allowed to expire. If you're in the Leesville area, you are now in the clear. If you're in the DeRidder area, you are also in the clear. If you're in Rose Pine, you're in the clear at this point. So that's just kind of giving you an idea. Those of you who are asking about your areas, you know, I kind of want to let you know that you are in the clear from the tornado threat at this point. So the tornado warnings do continue, though. We're getting into the Fullerton area. That's going to be kind of southeastern Vernon Parish. Of course, eastern parts of Fort Polk. That's going to include the Fort Polk radar. That tornado warning, that rotation was in the Hicks area. It's likely just east of the Hicks area now. Yeah, just a couple of miles. It looks like east of the Hicks area, just about a mile or so to the northeast of our Fort Polk radar. So kind of, let me go ahead back onto the main camera here. Kind of right up in this area here is the area that we're looking at, that area of rotation. This is all continuing to the east in generally rural parts of eastern Vernon Parish, getting into western parts of Rapides Parish. And then just to the north of that, we have another tornado warning. This one was moving basically right along the Rapides and Vernon Parish line in and around the Flatwoods area. And there's actually 2 tornado warnings to cover that, one from our office and the other one kind of on the other side of the parish line there, issued by the Shreveport Weather Service office, in addition to a severe thunderstorm warning that they also have in effect for that area. And something I want to point out here, let me come back to make this full screen and see if I can zoom way on in. You can kind of see a little bit of it almost looks like a hook right up in here. It almost looks kind of like a fish hook. That's an indication of radar, or rotation on radar as well. You don't often see that too often with tornadoes inside of these squall lines like that, but we are seeing a little bit of that there right around the Flatwoods area. That is another indication of possible tornadic rotation. I'm going to come back here and try to catch up on some of the questions here. So that kind of hopefully summarizes a little bit with regards to the tornado warnings that are currently in effect. If you're in Southeast Texas, essentially the line has cleared all of Southeast Texas at this point. So Southeast Texas no longer under any kind of a risk for tornadoes at this point. We are still looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms, but that's about it. The tornado threat has now shifted into central and southwestern Louisiana. And if you're still ahead of this line, if you haven't seen this line roll through your area yet, you are still at risk of seeing severe weather as we go through the afternoon. A lot of people are asking, you know, what about Jennings, Crawley, Lafayette, over those areas? Yes, you are still at risk of seeing severe weather threat. It hasn't arrived yet, but it will be coming here over the next couple of hours. So let me see if I can and run through some of these questions here. We'll try to do some rapid fire spitball question answering here. Kimberly asks, any early predictions for the town of Ball, Donald? Well, the town of Ball could potentially see a tornado warning issued shortly. Again, you're kind of to the east of that line still, so you haven't seen it yet. Again, if you're anywhere to the east of that line, there will be a risk of tornadoes as this system as a whole continues to move kind of west to east across the area. Let me see if I can put this into motion here
So you can kind of get an idea of the motion while I'm looking at these questions here. Velma asked, is Maryville clear? Yes, Maryville is in the clear. Amanda asks, I have a teacher conference in Moss Bluff at 1:30. Is it safe to go? Nope, not really. We're expecting that line to probably be moving through that area about that time frame. If you can leave now and get there within the next, say, 15, 20 minutes or so, then you can kind of hunker down there and you'll probably be okay. But if you're traveling at 1:30, that's not going to be a good idea. Leroy says, I wonder what the record for tornado warnings in Louisiana is and when. I need to research it. That'd be a good research project, Leroy. Get back to me on that because I can't do that right now. Kayla's asking, how is Leesville doing? Leesville is in the clear from a tornado threat. You're still probably looking at some rain, but Leesville is in the clear from the tornado warnings at this time. Katie's asking, what is to expect in Lafayette? Is this going to continue to strengthen as it travels east? I don't know about strengthen, but it's likely to maintain its intensity as it travels east. So yeah, you are going to be looking at a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving through Lafayette. Carmen says, we just got a tornado warning in Ball. Let me take a look. Technically, the tornado warning is actually not in Ball. Now, I'm splitting hairs here because it is about a mile north of Ball. But yes, there is a tornado warning very near Ball. Let me see if I can actually take a look where that area of rotation is in the Ball area or west of the Ball area. So bear with me here just a moment. Northeast.
Ball is
Northeast Rapides Parish.
right in here.
Yep.
And it's like right on the borderline. This is
so the cell that actually prompted that tornado warning, the cell itself is actually probably going to be moving to the north of Ball. Now there's another area of rotation that also has a tornado warning associated with it. That's back across parts of northwestern Rapides Parish here, west of Alexandria. That appears to be the bigger threat. If that holds together for some time frame longer, we could potentially see it getting into the Ball area as well. The tornado warned storm that was near Flatwoods is now just to the east of Flatwoods by a couple of miles. That's going to be kind of paralleling the northern Rapides Parish line as well, and that'll also have the potential to get into the Ball area probably within the next, I'd give it maybe another 20-ish minutes or so if it holds together that long. Well, yeah, someone just told me there's possible rotation near Rose Pine. There was a while back, but not anymore. Rose Pine is in the clear now. Kate says, lights out in DeRidder, and I just put food in the oven. Well, that's what chips are for. Chips and dips and all the food that's bad for you. Renee says, my husband's trying to get home from Natchitoches and roads are closed due to trees and power lines down. He's having to detour. That's not surprising. That area was under a tornado warning earlier and probably saw, if not a tornado, then certainly some very strong winds up in that area. And that's the case along this entire line. We're looking at, you can see the severe thunderstorm warnings that kind of are embedded around some of those tornado warnings as I zoom out here, especially across parts of central and north Louisiana. That is for those very strong straight line winds, in addition to the possibility of those tornadoes as well. So it's not just the tornadoes that we're concerned with this system. It's also the risk of those strong straight line winds. Angie asks, will the wind die down after the line passes through? Yes, somewhat it will. It's still going to be breezy. We'll probably still be looking at about 20, 25 mile an hour winds, but the winds will be less once the squall line moves through. There won't be the 40 to 50 miles an hour we've been seeing so far today.
Casey asked, when will it get to Lake Charles? It's going to get to Lake Charles probably in the next 30 minutes or so. It's just now passing through Vinton, maybe a little bit longer than that. You know, those of you who've traveled through from Vinton to Lake Charles know that on the interstate it takes about 30-ish or so minutes, maybe a little bit more than that. This one's not moving quite that fast. It's not moving at 60 or 70 miles an hour, so we might call it more like 45 minutes. Nicole's asking, is Fort Polk clear at this point? Let me move the radar back up to the Fort Polk area, but it does look like most of this activity is east of the Fort Polk area. Now there are still tornado warnings in effect kind of for the eastern side of that, but the most of the squall line itself has pushed through the Fort Polk area at this point. So if you're in the Fort Polk area, you are pretty much in the clear from the severe threat at this point. Caleb says, how's Monroe? It's still there, last time I checked. That's where I went to college. There actually is a tornado warning in effect just to the west of the Monroe area. That area is actually covered by the Shreveport office, so I can't get into too much detail about it. But there is a tornado warning essentially kind of between Ruston and Monroe, kind of along the I-20 corridor there. And those storms, just like ours, are kind of moving from west to east. So the Monroe area, actually, you see the new tornado warning just issued that does include the city of Monroe, actually. So Monroe now under a tornado warning as well. You can follow the Weather Service office in Shreveport for more about that. I'm not going to stay up there too long, but there is now a tornado warning for the Monroe area, in addition to a very large severe thunderstorm warning up that way as well. Back down here, we do still have our several tornado warnings in effect along this line, covering kind of our Fort Polk radar, which is right here on the eastern side of Fort Polk. This is going to be getting into the Leander area here probably within the next 5 minutes or so, as well as Hinston. And then the one further to the south here, you can see that line. Again, Rose Pine in the clear at this point. This line is going to be getting into the Fullerton area and the Pitkin area. If there's any kind of rotation still left with that one, that is the area it's going to be getting into at that point. I'm not seeing any real obvious rotation. There is some broad rotation up in that area. It's kind of just east of the Cravens area and south of the Fullerton area. And then there's another area of rotation with the storm system we were just talking about. That's going to be about 2 to 3 miles or so south of the Leander area. So again, right now, here's our kind of our look of our tornado warnings, currently in effect across most of eastern Vernon Parish and western Rapides Parish. That's where the strongest part of this line is moving through right now. Dipping back to the south, you can see the line continues to extend across parts of central Beauregard Parish, moving into eastern Beauregard Parish and western Calcasieu Parish as well. We're just taking a look real quick at some very broad rotation kind of north of the Sulphur area as that line moves through. No tornado warning on that as of yet, but that is something that is going to bear watching here over the next little while. I'm going to switch back to the Lake Charles radar just to get a little bit better idea of what's going on down south real quick. Give me just a moment for that to load. So there it is. You can see the line of storms now essentially moving through the Vinton area, approaching the Sulphur area, and that's the area we were watching that broad rotation just about a couple of miles north of Sulphur. This will be moving into the Sulphur area probably within the next 15-ish minutes or thereabouts, as well as the Gillis and Moss Bluff area probably within the next 15-20 minutes or so, and then Lake Charles probably about 25-ish minutes away. So kind of zoom back out here and kind of get a broader look at what's going on across the region. The tornado warning that was in effect for kind of central and eastern Beauregard Parish has been allowed to expire. There is still a tornado warning technically in effect for the DeRidder Rose Pine area that hasn't been updated in some time, but the line itself is well to the east of that. In fact, it's getting ready to get out of this tornado warning box here, right near the Fullerton area and just to the north of the Pitkin area is where that area of rotation is right now. So I'm going to run back here, see if I can answer a few more questions here.
Broad area of rotation about here. See it? So here, Fulton, just a couple of places along.
So there is another area of broad rotation, kind of right on the southeastern corner of that box. In fact, I'm a little surprised that a new warning hasn't been issued for that. I'm not going to go out there and yell at him to do it because that's very unprofessional. But right up in this area here, just north of the Sugartown area, there is an area of broad rotation right on the southeastern corner of that current tornado warning box that's in effect. We'll see if that gets extended or what happens with that here momentarily. Jerry's asking for a North Fort Polk please update. The Fort Polk area is pretty much in the clear at this point. The line of storms has moved east of that area. So other than some scattered showers over the next hour or so, you should be in the clear from a severe weather threat. Alexa was asking the same question about Fort Polk. Same answer. Again, Fort Polk is in the clear at this point. Kaylee says the wind is horrible. We're heading to a friend's house because we live in a mobile home. That's a very smart decision, Kaylee. You are a smart person, and everybody should tell you that you're smart and wonderful because you made a smart decision.
You're smart. Stay safe.
Chanel says you're smart too. Terry says, hey, Donald, I don't know if you had answered my question. I honestly don't remember if I answered your question either, Terry, but throw it back in there and I'll try to answer it for you again. Okay, trying to catch up on your comments here. Just bear with me a minute. I know I'm falling way behind. I'm like 10 minutes behind most of these comments. I do apologize. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's going on here. Now, the tornado warning that was in effect for the DeRidder area and parts of southeastern Vernon Parish has been allowed to expire, as has the one across extreme northeastern Vernon Parish. So that leaves us with just the one here that's issued by our area. There's another one here just to the north of our area for the Dry Prong area. We do still have this tornado warning in effect, again, kind of between the Leander and Seeper, I hope I'm saying that right, areas here, kind of extreme eastern areas of Vernon Parish and extreme western parts of Rapides Parish. And now we've got this, what we affectionately refer to in our office as a man-sized severe thunderstorm warning. That now basically covers essentially from the Beauregard-Calcasieu Parish line all the way up. In fact, let me make this full screen here so I can kind of point out some points to you here. So this was just issued. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning essentially kind of southeastern Beauregard Parish. This is going to cover basically, we'll call it effectively all of Allen Parish. It's going to include Reeves, Kinder, Oberlin, Oakdale, up towards Elizabeth. This is also going to cover parts of southeastern Rapides Parish and actually most of southern Rapides Parish. So Glenmora, Forest Hill, up towards Woodworth. This also is going to extend into parts of Evangeline Parish. So kind of from Mamou up towards Pine Prairie, Turkey Creek, Cheneyville, all of these areas now under a severe thunderstorm warning. The main reason for that is for the risk of those strong, damaging straight line winds. You know, we've been talking about tornadoes for the better part of the last hour or so, but we're still looking at the possibility of 60+ mile-per-hour winds occurring anywhere within this severe thunderstorm warning, which covers a very wide area. I'm going to make this full screen again so you can take a look at the areas that it now covers. But a large severe thunderstorm warning now having been issued kind of along and ahead of where this line of, or this squall line is actually pushing through.
And just a really quick heads up, if you're in the following counties, Tyler, Jasper, Hardin, Orange, Jefferson, you will be cleared from the tornado watch momentarily.
So that's effectively all of southeast Texas at this point. I think Tyler and Hardin, they were in them, right?
No,
okay.
We're clearing all 6.
Okay. So all of our southeast Texas counties, Tyler, Hardin, Jefferson, Jasper, Newton, and Orange, you are no longer in the tornado watch. And that we expected that to be the case. You know, we issued these tornado watches as one large box, and they are they're usually good for a long period of time, in this case till 7 p.m., but that doesn't necessarily mean that the severe weather risk is going to last that long. So again, like we've been talking about the last couple of days, as soon as that squall line pushes through, the severe weather threat will end, and it has ended for all of southeast Texas. And really, it's kind of ended for kind of the western parts of the parishes that we've been talking about. Western Vernon Parish, you're in the clear. Western Beauregard Parish, you're in the clear. And Western Calcasieu, you're about to be in the clear here shortly within the next 10 or 15 minutes. In fact, the severe weather risk is really non-existent anymore for the Vinton area. It's still raining pretty good there, but if there are very strong winds or tornadoes, they're going to be kind of within the meat and potatoes of this squall line here, which has already passed through that area. It's getting ready to move into the Sulphur area here probably in the next 5 minutes, so expect some strong winds in the Sulphur area, Carlos area, and then going to be moving into the Lake Charles, Moss Bluff area here and up towards Gillis within the next 15 minutes or so. So that's when our strongest and most significant risk is going to exist across those areas. Let me go ahead and zoom back out here. Again, we still have one tornado warning in effect for eastern Vernon and western Rapides parishes, and then that very large severe thunderstorm warning that you can see there. I've got the list of the cities in there as well, so you can kind of take a look at the areas that it covers. I'm going to check and see if we have some more questions here. I realize I'm running way behind on questions. I'm like 10 minutes behind on your comments, so you're going to have to bear with me here. Casey's asking, how bad will it get in Lake Charles? You know, the biggest threat right now is going to be for strong damaging winds and very heavy rain. We don't have any tornado warnings in effect for the Lake Charles area at the moment. Deanna asks, what time will St. Mary Parish be affected? Probably sometime within or between about, we'll call it maybe around 2:30 to 3 o'clock or so. That's when we expect that line to be moving through there. Alice says, can someone tell me how bad it is in Sulphur right now? I'm not in Sulphur right now, but the storms actually haven't reached Sulphur quite yet. They will in the next probably 5 or 10 minutes or so. We'll see how bad that gets at that point. But Sulphur just now getting in on that. Carrie asks, how long before it's in Iowa and Lafayette? Probably maybe 20 minutes or so from Iowa. Lafayette, you're not going to be looking at it in the Lafayette area for another couple of hours at least, probably more like 3 o'clock. Dalen says, hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. Michael says, I think this may be a record for tornado warnings. I don't think so, but then again, I have no basis to judge. I'm not exactly sure what our record for tornado warnings is, but it's been a while since we've had this many issued for our area. Michael's asking, is there rotation west of Lake Charles? Not at the moment. We're not seeing any rotation. It's mainly just strong straight line winds that are getting ready to move into the Sulphur area right now.
Definite areas to watch.
Yeah, we are still seeing a few areas of kind of broad rotation. Nothing that's really kind of tightened up into what we think might be a tornado. But there is still broad rotation throughout the pretty much the entirety of this line of storm. So don't be surprised if there are more tornado warnings issued here over the next little while. Aubrey says, I'm a mail carrier in Sulphur. Yeah, I'm with you, Aubrey. Maybe go get a coffee for the next 20 or 30 minutes if you can. If you can get off the roads for a little while. It's not going to be too long for this line to push through, maybe about 30 minutes or so. Richard asks, is Hicks clear of the tornadoes? Yes, Hicks is clear of tornadoes at this point. Sarah says, I am in a mobile home in Pitkin, but I live on Fort Polk. Is it safer to stay here or head back to Polk? You just mentioned the line threat coming near Pitkin. At this point, it's kind of a little bit too late to be moving at this point. So I would just buckle down and kind of ride through it. You know, you've got the storm is basically moving right through Pitkin right now. So it's too late to get out. Now it's hunker down and ride it out at this point. Francis says, how long is the tornado warning in DeQuincy? There is no tornado warning in DeQuincy anymore. That one expired a little while ago, and DeQuincy is in the clear from the tornado threat. So that's no longer a threat for the DeQuincy area. Rick says the temperature just dropped in Sulphur. That's because there's a cold front with all of this. Believe it or not, we're talking about all the severe, but there's actually cooler weather behind it. Now, it's not freezing, but it is going to be noticeably cooler once the squall line moves through and those winds turn out of the north. Michael says, would it be safer to be in a brick building in your area? It's just about on top of Pitkin now. Yeah, it would be, but now that we're, it is on top of Pitkin. So I would not advise getting out in the storm to try to find safer shelter. Now's the time to just hunker down and ride it out. Wade asks, how strong are the wind gusts here by the airport in Lake Charles? I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me at the moment. We've been gusting close to 40 plus miles an hour. In fact, the reason Chanel was out of the room a little while ago, she was actually filling up one of our weather balloons, and she had quite a time with it. It was blowing all over the place. Now, a weather balloon is not the size of your regular party balloon. It's about 3 or 4 feet across, and trying to get that actually up in the air when you got 40-mile-an-hour winds is an adventure, to say the least.
To say the least.
Wyatt asks, do you think the lower end of line looks weak? Maybe storms to the north is stabilizing the atmosphere on the lower end. I don't think it's the storms to the north that are necessarily stabilizing the atmosphere. It may be a little bit of that marine layer effect that we talked about, those cooler waters along the Gulf. Okay, that tends to sometimes limit severe thunderstorms and tornadoes right along the immediate coastline. So that may be playing a role there. We do have a new tornado warning that's going to be coming out here. We'll wait for it to pop up on the screen momentarily, and we'll take a look at that here in just a second. Okay. Erica says, has the line sped up? It was supposed to reach Lafayette between 3 and 4. No, that's not unreasonable. It may be a little bit earlier than that, probably more on the side of 3. Maybe we'll call it more like 2:30 to 3. So it may be moving a little bit faster, but that's still not a really bad ballpark time frame. So there's our new tornado warning. It just came out here. It's within this severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be just to the east of the Ragley area. It's going to include the town of Reeves. In fact, Reeves is probably right kind of in the bullseye of that rotational area here. And it's going to be just to the north of the Kinder area. So if the rotation or the potential tornado holds together, it'll probably be a couple of miles north of Kinder. Let me go ahead and come back here to my main screen. We'll talk about it here. You can see this is the area of rotation, or approximately where it is. Basically moving, I'm not sure exactly what highway this is, going from Ragley to Reeves, but it's basically traveling right along that highway there between Ragley and Reeves. It is east of Ragley, so if you're in the Ragley area, you're probably okay at this point. But if you're in the Reeves area, you want to seek shelter immediately. That interior room, whether it be a closet or a bathroom, because it is moving right along this highway here and will be moving into the Reeves area probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Now, if this continues kind of on a due east track, it's going to be very close to Kinder here, maybe in about 15 or 20 minutes. I think it may wind up tracking just to the north of Kinder, but it will be very close. So if you're in or around the Kinder area, definitely want to keep a close eye on that here. So again, this is a newly issued tornado warning for the Ragley, Reeves, and just to the north of the Kinder area. This also does include Oberlin, kind of right on the edge there, although it's still a little bit ways away from Oberlin. We'll see if it holds together that long. This is going to be in effect until 1:45, so about another half hour or so for this this tornado warning, which is embedded within a larger severe thunderstorm warning. We've got another tornado warning that's just come out here. This is going to include the Alexandria area. So I'm trying to take a quick look here and see exactly where that area of rotation is. So that is looks like it's just to the southeast of the Gardner area. And that is moving to the east. So on the current motion, it's probably going to move through the southern part of the Alexandria area. Let me go ahead and I'm already full screen here. But this is the area we're talking about, right up in this area here. It's going to be moving basically kind of due east and will potentially be getting into the Alexandria area here within the next, we'll call it maybe 15 minutes or so. It's going to be a couple of miles south of the Alexandria airport, but kind of along the south side of Alexandria proper. So if you're in that area, you know anybody in the Alexandria area, you want to seek shelter immediately. Again, especially on the south side, as this is going to be moving into that area here shortly.
Yeah, about 15 minutes after the time of arrival to Walmart.
So yeah, we've got an estimated time of arrival in the Alexandria area for that of about 15 minutes or so. So you have an opportunity here to, if you know anybody in the Alexandria area,
make them aware of the impending threat here, and get to safety immediately. Kendi says a tornado watch until 7 p.m. in Calcasieu. Yes, there is a tornado watch in effect until 7 p.m. in Calcasieu, although it's not going to last that long. It'll probably only last maybe another hour or so at the most. So we are continuing to still look at this tornado warned storm here. This is just to the west of Reeves right now. This is going to be moving into the Reeves area within the next couple of minutes. So if you're in the Reeves area, know anybody in the Reeves area, you want to seek shelter immediately for that possible tornado. Hope asks, is it preferable to leave my mobile home and find a ditch instead of staying inside during a tornado warning? Neither of those is a good idea. Of the two, a mobile home would be the safer option. A ditch is a last resort option. It is a worst case scenario. You do not want to be caught out in the open in a tornado. A mobile home isn't a whole lot better, but compared to the two, I'd take the mobile home over a ditch pretty much any day. So yeah, of the two, mobile home would be better. None of them are good. I would much rather you in a more sturdy structure.
Isn't that another area that Bear's watching?
So we're looking at another little area of rotation just west of the Union Hill area. This is kind of southwestern Rapides Parish. No tornado warning on that yet, but it is within our severe thunderstorm box. That is just broad rotation, but something we're also kind of keeping an eye on here. Tammy says there's power out on Anthony Ferry in Sulphur due to a blown transformer. That could be either the gradient winds or the winds within the line itself. We are looking at some strong winds in the Sulphur area with that storm as it moves through. It's basically moving through Sulphur now as we speak. And we do have a new tornado warning. That area of rotation that we were watching in southwestern Rapides does have a new tornado warning coming out for it. We're going to see that pop up on the screen here in just a second. This thing's always a minute or two behind, but it will be coming momentarily, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Chanel's over here spotting for me. April's asks, are we able to do street view on the radar with the tornado warnings? No, we can't get all the way into the street view with this program we're using here, unfortunately. I wish we could. That would make life a lot easier. So here's our new tornado warning just issued. Again, this is for the Union Hill area, which doesn't show up on our map specifically, but this is essentially going to be west of Glenmora and Forest Hill. And again, this is all moving to the east, so it will be potentially impacting the Glenmora and Forest Hill area here over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. So we've got several tornado warnings currently in effect now, 3 to be specific. One does cover the Alexandria area. The others, as we just said, west of Glenmora, and the other one is just now moving into the Reeves area. So if you're in the Reeves area, you are now potentially looking at a possible tornado moving into that area as we speak. So you want to seek shelter immediately if you are in or around the Reeves area. Then outside of that, we do have our large severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for the entire, pretty much all of, we'll call it Western Evangeline, pretty much all of Allen, virtually all of Rapides Parish. And this is for the very strong winds that are also accompanying this line of storms. Kaylee says the bottom is falling out in Sulphur. I don't doubt that. Very heavy rainfall within this line, in addition to all the other threats that we're talking about. Rachel's asking about Avoyelles Parish. This line will be moving into the Avoyelles Parish here probably in the next, give it maybe another 30 minutes or so to start getting into that area. And there is a severe weather risk that's going to continue through it getting to Avoyelles Parish as well here over the next little while. But it hasn't gotten there yet. Beth says it's raining hard in Moss Bluff right now. I don't doubt that. The line is getting into the Moss Bluff area as we speak, as well as Gillis. We'll be getting into, actually, it's also getting into Carlis.
Going to be getting into the Lake Charles area, the western side of Lake Charles, West Lake, probably within the next 5-ish minutes, and then Lake Charles area within just a couple of minutes after that. Gus asks, is there any signs of hail? No signs of hail with any of this as of yet. We've been thinking that hail was going to be a pretty low risk with this kind of event, and it seems to have panned out that way. We've had several tornado warnings across the region, but the overall risk of hail, we haven't really seen any. And I don't think we've issued any warnings with regards to hail either. It's all been strong, damaging winds and tornadoes thus far.
Nothing showing up on the mesh that we're looking good as far as not seeing it.
Okay. So yeah, we're actually just took a quick look to see if there's any indications of hail, and no indications of hail on radar at present. Lisa says, I'm an awesome meteorologist. Thank you. Lisa, you're an awesome person. Thank you. Chanel's an awesome meteorologist too. She's doing all the behind the scenes work. Carmen says we're losing power in Ball. It keeps going in and out. I don't doubt that with all the winds you're dealing with. That is not altogether unexpected, not just in Ball, but pretty much everywhere across the region. We do still have a tornado warning in effect for kind of north central Rapides Parish. This does include the Ball area, but the area of rotation that prompted the warning is actually kind of on the south side of Alexandria, just now about maybe 2 or 3 miles from Alexandria proper. It's moving actually about a mile south of the Alexandria airport as we speak. So again, if you're in or around the Alexandria area, you want to seek shelter immediately. If you know anybody in that area, call them, get their attention, because we are looking at a possible tornado getting ready to move into the southern parts of Alexandria. Brandon wants a rough estimate on when the line will leave Beauregard Parish. Let's take a quick look here. It's through most of Beauregard Parish. It's kind of on the eastern edge as we speak. So the squall line itself should be out of Beauregard Parish probably in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. Got a little too far there. A couple of people saying they can't hear, but a lot of people saying they can. So Chantal, that might be a issue on your computer end. Make sure your sound's turned up, I suppose. Nobody else seems to be having a problem with audio.
Here's another area that Bear's watching.
So we're looking at another area of kind of broad rotation. Again, this is south of Union Hill. There's actually several areas of rotation that we're watching in that area. They're all forming right along the leading edge of this line. So don't be surprised if we see another tornado warning issued south of Union Hill. And the tornado warned storm is actually moving through the Union Hill area right now, west of Glen Mora. That tornado warning has been in effect for a few minutes now and continues to be in effect. So we've got 3 tornado warnings currently in effect across our area. One for a tornado or a possible tornado about to impact southern Alexandria, the other near Union Hill, and a third down this way. It looks like it's just going to be just to the northeast of the Reeves area. Should that still be actually holding together? We're taking a look at that now. There's not a whole lot of rotation left with that. That's certainly some good news. Hopefully we can see that tornado warning dropped shortly. But we are still looking at very strong storms moving through the Reeves area. And that'll be continuing kind of right along that highway, getting into the Kinder and Oberlin area here within the next 15 or 20 minutes. Beth says, how much longer before Gillis is in the clear, please? For the Gillis area, we are looking at, let's see, the heaviest of the rainfall will probably continue maybe another 10 minutes or so, and then you're going to continue to see some light rain behind that, but the severe weather threat will be over with after that. Francis says, why angry faces? Donald can't help what the weather's doing. No, Donald can't help what the weather's doing. If Donald had his way, it'd be sunny and 70 right now, and I wouldn't be on here talking to you. I'd be outside laying in my hammock. But that's neither here nor there. Kelly says, can you show up around Ruston, please? Lots of Lake Charles kids at LA Tech. We'll take a quick look up that way. I get yelled at when I start talking about areas that are outside of the area that we cover, but there is Ruston. Let me see if I can switch to the Shreveport radar here.
I think most of the strongest activity is actually east of Ruston right now. It's kind of north of the Monroe area up towards Bastrop. I am familiar with this area. I actually went to college at UL Monroe in Monroe, so I know more about this region than I probably should. Now you see that kind of ring there wrapped around the Shreveport radar there. That's actually false return. There's some weird stuff going on here. There, it came back in. But you can see the line of strong storms moving through the Monroe area. It's actually clear of Ruston. It's well to the east of Ruston at this point. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning covering Ruston, but the overall risk is pretty much nil at this point for the Ruston area. It's moving through Monroe up towards Sterling, and points further north from there. You can see the very large severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for all of northeast Louisiana. And I have no reason to think that won't continue kind of all the way into Mississippi. But that's kind of what we're dealing with up that way. But if you're in the Ruston area, you are no longer under threat from severe weather with this system.
Seriously, an area that bears watching. This is just getting stronger.
And so we're still looking at an area of rotation that looks like it's starting to intensify a little bit south of Union Hill. We'll see if it's kind of right on the southern edge of that warning box. So we'll see if another warning is issued for that. It may actually wind up moving into that warning box. It's right up in this area here. Well, you can't actually see where I'm talking about here. So kind of north of Elizabeth, south of Union Hill. That's kind of the area we're talking about. Again, no tornado warning out on it yet, but there is some rotation there that we're continuing to monitor. Sheila says, I didn't mean to angry faces. I dropped my phone. It's okay, Sheila. We forgive you. And he says, go Warhawks, a.k.a. War Chickens, as I sometimes refer to them as. The mascot of UL Monroe. Okay, let's see. Lisa says the weather just moved into the Carlos area. Yep, we were expecting that. And so kind of coming back down towards the Carlos area, you can see it there. The strongest activity has just moved through there. You can continue to see some heavy rain for the next little while. But I think you're kind of, now that you're past that leading edge, the overall risk for severe weather in that area is decreasing quickly and will no longer be a threat here in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Catherine's asking about the Denham Springs area. Denham Springs will see this line move through later on this afternoon. It's going to be a few hours still, probably kind of mid to late afternoon before it gets into the Denham Springs area, but it will be going in that general direction. Tiana's asking about the Abbeville area. You are going to be looking at this activity also moving through the Abbeville area. It's not there yet, but it is moving in that general direction. So you can see it over here. Whole lot of nothing at the moment. Well, a few light showers over that way. But the actual line of storms itself is still a good little ways away from Abbeville. Probably not going to see that for another hour and a half or so. You can see the large blue box here off the coast. That's a special marine warning, which is issued when we're expecting strong winds over the open waters. Not a good day to be out on the boats. Hopefully nobody's out on a boat out there. Those big barges can usually handle those kind of winds and waves, but the smaller boats, these are the kind of winds they get capsized in. So you can see that's in effect for the offshore Gulf waters as well as Calcasieu Lake. Hugh says 63 days till hurricane season. Shut up, Hugh.
Stop.
What the hell? Come on.
Stop.
All in favor of skipping hurricane season. I'm all in favor of skipping hurricane season.
Tornado warning out. This is Central Allen.
Okay, so we've got a new tornado warning that's getting ready to come out here for Central Allen Parish. Is that the one we were watching?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually going to be the area of rotation that we've been keeping an eye on here. We'll see that pop up here on the screen momentarily, and we'll take a look at that. Stacey's asking, is Iowa still under a tornado warning? I don't think Iowa was ever under a tornado warning. We do still have a tornado watch in effect for Iowa, and the line of storms has not passed through Iowa yet. So don't be surprised if you do see some strong winds with that, but no tornado warnings in Iowa at the moment. Daylin asks, is the tornado threat over for Lake Charles yet? Not yet. The line of storms has not moved through Lake Charles yet. It's beginning to move into Lake Charles as we speak. Kind of the western side of the I-10, 210, corridor there is starting to see the storms with this. It's going to be gradually moving through the Lake Charles area here, basically from now through the next 30 minutes or so. So if there's any risk of damaging winds or tornadoes, essentially now is the time that we're going to be experiencing it in the Lake Charles area. Let's see if we've got our new tornado warning out yet. We do not have it up here yet. We are still looking at 3 different tornado warnings currently ongoing. I want to take a look at that one that's getting ready to move through the Alexandria area right now. Kind of see what that one's looking like. There is still some broad rotation with that. Not quite as strong perhaps as it was a short time ago, but it is moving through Alexandria as we speak, as is the very heavy rainfall that you can see there, and no doubt some very gusty winds. So if you're in or around the Alexandria area, you are going to be looking at some significant severe weather here, essentially now for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Who says, okay, sorry, don't mention hurricanes to Donald. Yes, don't mention hurricanes to Donald.
Not just to Donald, just don't mention them.
So again, we still have this tornado warning in effect, kind of west of the Glen Mora area. This is a line of activity that is continuing to move to the east. It's difficult to actually pinpoint exactly where that area of rotation is on our what we call reflectivity. That's basically what we're looking at right here. This is going to be east of the Union Hill area. And there's another area of rotation, again, forming just to the south of that box. I think they just don't like staying in the boxes today. But we are looking at areas of broad rotation just to the west of the Glen Mora area. And then we've got another tornado warning in effect. This is to the west of the Oberlin area, probably about 5 miles or so west of Oberlin. That is going to continue to move to the east and potentially impact Oberlin here over the next 15 minutes or so. We are still looking at, let me move radars back down here to Lake Charles so we can get a better look at exactly what's happening in and around the Lake Charles area. Give that just a moment to load. So you can see the line of storms in and around the Lake Charles area there. Very strong or very heavy rainfall, likely some strong gusty winds with that. We do not have any tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings out for the Lake Charles area right now as this moves through. You can see that little dot there just south of Lake Charles. That's our office here. So we're going to be getting hammered here ourselves in just a minute. The good news about that is we actually have an observing station here at the airport, so we can try to get an idea of what kind of winds we're seeing within this line, at least in the Lake Charles area. Nicole says I should get a mug or something for when I'm having to go live that says I'd rather be in my hammock. That would be perfect, because that's where I'd rather be. Craig says 11-foot seas on our location in the Gulf. Thanks for that update, Craig. Yeah, that's I think about what we were forecasting, somewhere in the range of about 10 to 11-foot seas. So it's actually very rare that we get actual real-time updates on the sea conditions out there, because we have very few observing stations out there. But thank you for that, Craig. Very much appreciated. Natalie says, hashtag we don't talk about hurricanes. Is that like one of those we don't talk about Bruno things? Copyright Disney 2020 or 2021. I don't want Disney's copyright lawyers coming after me. Candace isn't worried until she hears the refinery alarm. She lives close enough that she can hear them. If they all go off at once, you know, tornado coming. Well, those alarms are based on the tornado warnings that we issue. So if we issue them, then that'll give you a bit of a precursor or an update to those alarms actually being issued or turned on. Chris asks, what have been the strongest recorded gusts in the area today? I haven't been able to actually look at those lately because we've been on the broadcast here for almost 2 hours, but we were forecasting winds, gusts of up to 50 miles per hour or greater. So, and we were kind of pretty much in line for that late this morning. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we actually reached that.
in a few locations. We've also had some reports of some power outages as well ahead of this line of storms. Hugh says, I wonder if this is the first time our area has gotten a moderate risk in less than 8 days. I guess you mean twice in less than 8 days. I don't know. That's a good question. That one would require some research as well. I want to say it's probably happened at some point in the past, but it's pretty rare. Cherie says it sure is getting dark in Lake Charles. Yeah, because the line of storms is actually moving through the Lake Charles area as we speak. Western parts of Lake Charles, the Westlake area, you are actually probably getting slammed pretty good with some very heavy rain. This will be moving into central Lake Charles momentarily within the next minute or two, and then eastern Lake Charles as well. We're just a couple of minutes from it getting into our office as well. I'm trying to look out the window here, and it does look like it's getting pretty dang dark out there. So strong thunderstorms here. So we always kind of find it really cool to actually go out ahead of a thunderstorm and kind of see it darkening. I don't necessarily encourage that because you got to be careful with lightning, but it's quite a sight to behold. Renee asks, how is Alexandria looking? Our power just went out. Alexandria is still under a tornado warning as of right now. We're looking at some very strong storms moving through the Alexandria area right now. Let me take a look and see what the rotation looks like over that way. There is still some broad rotation. It's not particularly well defined, but it's actually just to the east of the Alexandria area right now, moving up into the Pineville area, or perhaps just ever so slightly to the south of Pineville by maybe a mile or so. But tornado warning continues for the Alexandria area. You're kind of right in the middle of it right now. This is when where you're seeing the heaviest overall rainfall right up in this area here, basically along the line from Alexandria up towards Ball, south to Woodworth, and then further south down towards Glenmora. You can see we've got another tornado warning down here for the Glenmora area, and that also includes the Forest Hill area as well. I think it's easier for everybody to probably see it if I keep the radar at full screen there. It can be kind of difficult to pick out all these points on my TV screen back here. April asks, do we have another chance for another round next week like Tuesday? I've heard rumor of that. I honestly haven't been paying that close attention to next week because I've been focusing on this one. But, we are still seeing these cold fronts roll through, and we probably will for another couple of weeks. So I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. Hopefully not as bad as this one. Emily asks, is there still a tornado watch in Moss Bluff? Yes, there is still a tornado watch in Moss Bluff. Technically, that goes until 7 p.m. this evening, but it's not going to last that long. I'd give it maybe another 30 minutes to an hour or so, and I imagine that'll probably end up being canceled. But yes, as of right now, there is still a tornado watch in Moss Bluff. Crystal was tired of the cold weather, and now she's tired of all the bad weather. It'd be nice to have a period of just, good weather. We can't have that in this part of the world. California gets it. We can go out to Nevada. It's nice and dry out there. It's just hot as hell. Chanel says I said Nevada wrong. It's Nevada. She's from Nevada, so she always got to correct me when I say it wrong. Krista says that she's watching from Pineville and the wind and rain is kicking outside. Yeah, that's where that area of broad rotation is up there. That was previously moving through the Alexandria area. It was just in the Pineville area moments ago. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that you're getting some strong winds, hopefully not associated with a tornado. It looks like that rotation has actually moved just to the east of Pineville now by just a couple of miles. So kind of moving between Colon and Lebuse. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but south of Esler. And this is actually, looks like it's tightening up again. So there may be a developing tornado once again. And that is actually getting outside of the tornado warning box there. So I would not be surprised at all to see this tornado warning reissued here just to the east of this box. We'll see if that happens momentarily. But yeah, still a potential tornado just east of the Alexandria area, south of Esler. Jan says power was just restored to Nelson on 210. That's great. Just in time for the line to hit and knock it out again. Hopefully not.
but the line of storms is now moving through central parts of Lake Charles. So this is where we're going to be experiencing the heaviest of our rain and our largest risk of severe. Now, there are no severe thunderstorm warnings out for the Lake Charles area or tornado warnings at the moment, but some very heavy rainfall and gusty winds are certainly going to be possible here. Mary says, bye-bye pollen. I guess that's the silver lining that, yeah, we will get some of the pollen out of the air with this storm. Donald, my namesake, says, has there been any reports of a tornado touching down? No, we haven't had any confirmed reports yet. All of the tornado warnings that have been issued so far have all been radar indicated tornadoes, but we'll see. A lot of times, as we said before, with some of these rain wrapped tornadoes in environments like this, a lot of times we won't get reports of damage until after the tornado has already passed and after the storms have already passed. Monica says, I just watched an awning blow off a trailer by Highway 397 and Highway 90. Yeah, awnings are particularly susceptible to strong winds because they're basically anything that has a large, broad face is at risk of blowing down. I've got a little kind of one of those aluminum back porch type things. I was a little worried about myself blowing down. Anything with a broad face like that can catch wind does have the risk of kind of blowing away in these kind of events. Trampolines are another good example. It doesn't take much to blow a trampoline away. Melissa says, watching from Nelson and Country Club, and the wind is getting bad now. Yep, you're looking at that line moving through right now. In fact, I can hear the roof kind of creaking here at our office. So I'm sure the winds are picking up in our area as well. I don't have an exact number for you here at the moment, but I'm looking out the window here. I see a tree off in the distance doing a nice little dance. So it's definitely blowing pretty good out there.
Latest observation, 28 gust 37.
So we've got a gust of 37 miles an hour out here right now. That may not be completely up to date as far as what's going at this particular moment. That was probably what was happening right in front of it. But actually, let me run out here. We've got a computer system that has actually a real-time wind observations. I'm going to see what our exact wind speed is at the moment. Hopefully you can still hear me here. We're still looking at gusts of 37 miles an hour right now. You hear all these people talking in the background. Those are all of our forecasters issuing warnings across the region. Hopefully you were still able to hear my my audio there as I walked out of the room here.
Severe thunderstorm warning. Did you see that?
So we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that was actually just issued here. This is going to be largely an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning that was already in effect across a large part of the area here. Okay, I think my audio is back. It said I lost audio here for a second. Hopefully it's back here. Let me know if you can hear me. Some people are saying you can't hear me. Let me know if you can hear me now. But we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued. And as we said before, this is basically an extension of the previous severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to cover pretty much all except extreme southern Evangeline Parish. Same thing for Allen Parish. It's going to cover the northern half of St. Landry Parish, all of Avoyles Parish, and kind of all of Rapides Parish from Alexandria eastward. And this is for the potential for very strong straight line winds that we've been seeing kind of develop along the leading edge of this line. So 60 mile per hour plus winds. In addition, we do still have our 3 tornado warnings in effect across the region. Okay, so everybody's saying you can hear me again. That's good. I think I just walked too far away from my receiver there while I was checking on the winds. That's probably what happened there. So again, we've got a new, as we call it, man-sized warning, very large severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of central Louisiana. And you can see those that, if I zoom out here, the severe thunderstorm warnings essentially extend roughly from, we'll call it kind of the Jeff Davis Parish line all the way up to the Louisiana-Arkansas state line. There's essentially an entire line of severe thunderstorm warnings covering the entire squall line here from that point further to the north. Now we're taking a look at the winds and the squall line itself, which is now moving through the Lake Charles Airport, along with most of our other areas. And the reason we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for our area is because the winds so far have actually remained below that 60-mile-per-hour threshold, at least in our area. So that's some good news for those of us in the Lake Charles area. And hopefully it stays that way as it continues to travel along the I-10 corridor there. Ava says, I just got off of 210 in the interstate. It's bad out there with the wind. Yep, definitely. Even though we're not looking at necessarily 60-mile-per-hour winds, 40, 50-mile-per-hour winds, especially on 210, especially on the 210 overpass, are certainly enough to blow vehicles all over the roads there. Brooke says, I'm in New Iberia. What's my area looking to get? We're going to be looking at pretty much essentially what we're seeing now in the Lake Charles area and across the entire region here is going to be moving into the New Iberia area later on this afternoon, probably between about 3 and 4 p.m. Major asks, have we missed the severe weather in Acadia Parish? No, it hasn't gotten there yet, but it's coming. It's just now getting to the Lake Charles area, so it'll be there probably by about 2:30, 3 o'clock. David says it's calm in Vinton now. That's because the main line has actually passed Vinton. So if you're in the Vinton area, there is no longer a severe weather risk. If you're west of Cameron, no longer a severe weather risk either. Pretty much all of Beauregard Parish is now out of the severe weather risk, even though it is still raining somewhat. And all of Vernon Parish also now out of the severe weather risk, even though it is still raining in that area as well. Mary says in Grant Parish, the sheriff's office are en route to a home off of Highway 1240 where a homeowner reported that a tornado hit their house and a lot of debris on the way to their homes that way. That's in Grant Parish. So that's actually, I believe, the Weather Service office in Shreveport. So we'll try to forward that message on to them. Michael says the wind is literally howling in Lacassine. Yep, with the kind of winds that we've been talking about, that's definitely expected. So right now we're continuing to look at basically just all of our tornado warnings have actually been allowed to expire here just in the last couple of minutes. We still have one large severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Looks like my camera might have messed up here. Does it keep doing this? Sorry, we lost the audio then again for a second. We're having some connection issues, I think. I'm wondering if, no, the battery's not dead. Technical difficulties. We'll get it together. But nonetheless, this is going to be in effect for about another hour, but the entire area within this severe thunderstorm warning isn't necessarily going to be experiencing those kind of winds for an entire hour. It's just the fact that this is such a large severe thunderstorm warning. The highest risk area right now essentially extends from Oberlin up towards Oakdale, Glenmora, Forest Hill, Woodworth, and to just east of the Alexandria area. That's kind of where the line of storms are right now, and that's where the potential severe winds are located. Adriana says power outage on Topsy Bell towards Reeves. Thank you for that report,
Adriana, we've been getting several reports of some power outages, localized power outages, not widespread power outages, but with these kind of winds, that's not surprising. Beth asks, how is Sulphur, please? Sulphur is now in the clear. It is considered continuing to rain, but the severe weather threat is over with for Sulphur. Sarah's asking about the Kinder area. For the Kinder area, let's take a look at the Kinder area. The line of storms is actually just getting into the Kinder area as we speak. So you're actually south of the severe thunderstorm warning right now, but we are looking at that line getting into the Kinder area, and there are definitely some gusty winds within that line as it approaches Kinder. So expect that shortly. Heavy rainfall, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, certainly not out of the realm of possibility. Phyllis says Port Arthur is good. Rains have stopped for now. Yeah, you're pretty much done with the severe weather threat in Port Arthur. In fact, you may be done with the rain entirely.
Hey, we're going to go to 5 miles an hour.
Beth says, thank you about the Sulphur area. It's just raining now in Gillis. Yeah, Gillis also now west of this line of storms. So the overall severe weather threat is pretty much done with in the Gillis area as well. Same thing for Lake Charles. We're pretty much done with it is still got some very heavy rain out there and gusty winds, but the severe weather threat is now diminishing in the Lake Charles area as well. Tara's cows are not happy. I don't think any cows who are stuck in this are happy. I mean, would you be happy if you were a cow out in this? I wouldn't be happy if I was a cow out in this. I wouldn't be happy if I was a person out in this. Lee says, how about Iowa? How long till it passes? This activity hasn't actually gotten into the Iowa area yet. It will be shortly. Let me actually move back to the Lake Charles radar here. I think we're still looking at Fort Polk. But it'll be getting into the Iowa area here probably within the next, we'll call it 10-ish minutes or so. And then from there, we'll be looking at it moving through the Iowa area and clear probably by about maybe 2:15 to 2:30. Sherry says there's power out on Highway 106 near Chico Park. Thank you for that report, Sherry. Beth is asking if Gillis is pretty much in the clear now. Yes, Gillis is largely in the clear. We're having looks like some bad data coming in on the latest scan there for Lake Charles. Trust me, that the rain did not just magically disappear. It's still there. That'll come back here probably with our next little scan.
Just some heavy rain in Gillis, but as far as this Smith is concerned, they're in the clear.
Yeah, the Gillis area is pretty much in the clear at this point, other than just some rainfall. All right, bear with me just a moment here. Okay, now because I'm actually losing my voice a little bit here, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Chanel, and Chanel is going to answer you questions for a couple of little while here. So here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Chanel.
Okay, let's see. So I have a question from Robin up on the screen. We live in a large mobile home in the rain area. Should we evacuate? So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, can you go ahead and show the rain area on there? So right now, this hasn't passed through the rain area. I just want to say if you have a place to go, I would do so just for safety reasons. So is it safe to travel from Ragley to Longville on Highway 172? So I would say right now, yes, you're in the clear. However, it just depends on.
Yeah, the storm's actually moving through, moving through the Ragley area as we speak. If you can get another maybe 10 or 15 minutes, you should be fine. There's nothing left in the Longville area, though, so you should be fine in that regard once you kind of get out of this area.
We have a report saying power is back on between Natchez and Jonesville.
Remember, she's from Nevada, so she doesn't know how to pronounce all the names around here. But again, we are still looking at the only thing we've got on as far as severe right now. We do have one large severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect. That essentially from just east of Oberlin, you can kind of see the areas it covers there. It includes just east of Oakdale to east of Glen Mora to east of Forest Hill to over towards Woodworth. The severe thunderstorm warning does continue to cover Alexandria, although the majority of the activity is now off to the east of Alexandria, at least from a severe weather and strong winds perspective. We are still looking at rain, but the strongest winds are done with for the Alexandria area for right now. But as you can see, kind of looking up towards the north here, if I can expand out a little more, you see that severe thunderstorm warning extends up into kind of northeast Louisiana. There are several tornado warnings up across North Louisiana. This is east of Monroe, over towards the Mangum, Rayville, up towards Oak Ridge, and then up into parts of southeastern Arkansas as well. So this line, it's not just us that's being impacted by this. It covers pretty much all of Louisiana, up into Arkansas, even into parts of southern Missouri is seeing severe weather associated with this line of storms. Kevin says, I don't remember this volume of storms with tornadoes as a kid in southwest Louisiana. Has the inclement weather increased in southwest Louisiana? Well, I haven't lived here my whole life, so I can't really speak to that, anecdotally from my own perspective. But it is our severe weather season. This time of year, March into early April, even from late February, we often see severe weather developing in this part of the country. So that's not necessarily unusual. Have the overall number of severe events increased over the years? There's an argument to be made for that, but I'd have to get some data to back it up one way or the other, and I really don't have that in front of me at the moment. So we are still looking at strong, not severe, but strong and very heavy rainfall across the Lake Charles area, including out here at our office. I'm actually watching the rain come down outside as we speak. And so the strongest of the activity will be continuing to move through the Lake Charles area here over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. It's already pretty much clear sulfur. So if you're in the sulfur area, the Carless area, you are pretty much in the clear from a severe weather perspective. There is still some light rain up that way. Same thing over towards DeQuincy, light rain, but otherwise in the clear from a severe weather perspective. Wyatt says, I see there's a marine warning. I hope those thunderstorms trending northeast don't give any tornadoes. Right now, there's been no indication of any kind of rotation with that. The marine warning is issued because we are still seeing strong winds within this line. The threshold for special marine warnings to be issued are lower than they are for severe thunderstorm warnings. You need 60 miles an hour for a severe thunderstorm warning to be issued. For a special marine warning, anything over, I think, 40 miles an hour qualify. So that's why those are out, even though we're not necessarily seeing severe winds inland.
Some areas worth watching, kind of along
There are some areas just worth watching, mainly along the line going through Cameron and southern Calcasieu.
So Jacqueline's asking, when will the severe weather pass in southwest Louisiana, including Calcasieu? So it's kind of moving through Calcasieu Parish right now. It's moving through the Lake Charles area. It's going to be getting into Iowa here over the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. And then from there, it'll be exiting to the east out of Calcasieu Parish. So it'll be out of the parish completely, probably within the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Our electronics analyst is out here complaining about the weather. He needs to shut his face now. He works for the weather service and he complains about the weather. I'm just giving him a hard time. I tend to do that. Hope asks, is any of the mess of tornadic weather going to head into the Lafayette area, or is it shifting more north as it goes? It is going to be moving into the Lafayette area. This whole line is going to be moving from west to east. The individual storms themselves, if I put this into motion, you can see it moving kind of from southwest to northeast, but the whole line as a system is moving from west to east as kind of one entity. So yes, it will be getting into the Lafayette area later on this afternoon. Melissa says the wind has died down almost to nothing now over here around Nelson Road and Country Club. Yeah, the worst of the weather is actually moving out of that area now. As you can kind of see from the radar here, kind of the western side of Lake Charles, where 210 and I-10 kind of connect. The strongest of those are out, so that's kind of the Nelson Road area. Looks like we do have another tornado warning coming out here. This is going to be along this swath here just east of the Lake Charles area. We'll see that pop up here in just a second. It's actually going to be covering two different areas, two different circulations. The first one's going to be a mile or two south of the Homewood area. The second one's actually going to be down in northern Cameron Parish, just west of Sweet Lake. So that's going to pop up here on our graph here in just a second. We'll take a look. If you're in the Lake Charles area, you no doubt probably had your phone go off and or weather radio if you happen to have one. My phone didn't go off, so it's actually pretty good because the box itself doesn't cover Lake Charles proper. It's actually just to the east. So there it is. It just popped up there. So we are looking at a new tornado warning. This is going to be southeastern Calcasieu and kind of northern and central Cameron Parish. This is for two different areas of rotation that's being watched. See if we can actually see it on here. We've been struggling to actually see it on this radar. And that trend looks like it's going to possibly continue. Okay, let me see. I might be able to point it out to you here. Let me come back to the no, I can't come back to the full screen. My stupid camera's messed up. So, but basically what we're looking at, we've got this area. You see kind of the dark red there, just kind of on the eastern edge of southeastern Calcasieu Parish there. That's the area we're looking at. And then there's another area actually in northern Cameron Parish that we're also looking at for some rotation associated with possible tornadoes. So again, this does not include Lake Charles proper. This is going to be southeast of Lake Charles. It does include Hayes, and it does include portions of central and eastern Cameron Parish. This does not include Iowa. This is actually going to be south of Iowa, although the line of strong storms is moving into the Iowa area within the next 5 minutes or so, but that is not where the tornado or the prospective tornado is. It's essentially from here at the Lake Charles Airport, just to the east of the airport, and then south from there. So it does not include Lake Charles. So if you did get a warning and are concerned about that in the Lake Charles area, the tornado risk is not for Lake Charles. It's more the Bell City Hayes area, and then points further south into northern Cameron Parish. Amy says her weather radio just went off. That's not surprising. We've got weather radios here at our office that go off when we issue anything anywhere near the Lake Charles area as well. Haley asks, what are the blue lines near Cameron? That is actually a special marine warning, and you can see that extends all the way out into the Gulf of Mexico a good long way. Those are for winds over the Gulf of Mexico and over Calcasieu Lake that are in excess of 40 miles an hour. For a severe thunderstorm warning to be issued, you need winds over 60 miles an hour. But for a special marine warning, you only need 40 miles an hour because boats are more susceptible to strong winds than we are here on land. So that's what you're looking at with those light blues down that way.
In addition to that, you have nothing kind of stopping, kind of like how on land we have buildings and everything that will help reduce some of those wind speeds. You don't really have that out in the water.
So again, we're continuing to see we've got that large severe thunderstorm warning that continues for central Louisiana, kind of from east of Alexandria to east of Oberlin. That is, let me move back up to the Fort Polk radar here, and we can take a look at that.
Just in case you decide to hit that one.
Okay. So we've also got a question here about the tornado risk for the Turkey Creek area. I'll actually let Chanel take that one while we take a look at this severe thunderstorm warning up here.
So just taking a quick look at the Turkey Creek area, and it's a little bit, okay, go ahead and scroll in. So yeah, you can see the Turkey Creek area on here. We do have kind of the storms about to move through that area within the next couple of minutes, and there's a broad area of rotation, nothing too concerning at the moment, kind of south of Turkey Creek.
And that's within the broader severe thunderstorm warning that continues for Turkey Creek and a large surrounding area there. It covers all of Avoyles Parish, the northern part of St. Landry Parish, the northern, call it 2/3 of Evangeline Parish, and Rapides Parish, essentially east of Alexandria, as that's where the strongest part of that line is moving through. Again, we do still have this tornado warning in effect here. I'm going to come back to the Lake Charles radar here. We'll take another look at that here. This is southeastern Calcasieu and central and eastern parts of Cameron Parish. You can see the strengthening of that line right in that area there. And the tornado warning is, again, not for Lake Charles. It's going to be more for the Bell City Hayes area. That's where the strongest of this tornado warned storm is expected to move through. And then there's a second area of rotation down in northern Cameron Parish that's going to be mainly over rural parts of the parish, kind of in the refuge areas, which is good news. Hopefully it doesn't affect anything other than an alligator. Alligators don't pay taxes, so we don't care if they get hit by tornadoes. And this is asking how bad for the Ville Platte area. The line of storms hasn't actually moved through the Ville Platte area yet. It will be here. Still probably another maybe 30, 45 minutes away, maybe even a little bit longer than that for the Ville Platte area. We have seen some strong winds up that way with that line, so it wouldn't surprise me at all to see some very strong winds. We'll see if any other signs of rotation develop. We had several tornado warnings all along the leading edge of this line earlier. All of those have thankfully been allowed to expire, but we are still looking at some strong winds within this line of storms, and that will have the potential to move into the Ville Platte area here. Actually, probably not quite as long as I gave initially, maybe about 20 or 30 minutes or so away from the Ville Platte area. Where? This? No, that's in Baton Rouge. Melissa asks, is there a high tornado risk for the LSU area? My son said his classes were canceled, so now as a mom, I play it passes Baton Rouge. Well, the line as a whole is going to move through the Baton Rouge area later on this afternoon. It's still a good couple of hours away from that, but there is still a tornado risk for the Baton Rouge area, as well as some strong straight line winds. This whole kind of system is going to be moving through that Baton Rouge area later on this afternoon. So we continue to see, we've got three different boxes here. We've got our severe thunderstorm warning up across Rapides, Avoyles, Evangeline, Eastern Allen, and St. Landry parishes. We've got our tornado warning in effect for southeastern Calcasieu, southwestern Jeff Davis, and northern Cameron. And then we've got our special marine warning for anybody who dares to venture out over the waters today with those strong winds. Unless you're in some kind of an oil tank or a very large barge, you're going to have a bad time out there this afternoon. But that is still there nonetheless. So that's what the blue box there represents. One of our forecasters just sent me a text message asking me to go ahead and stop this mess. I'd love to. That would be fantastic if that was within my power. I'm sure everybody would be grateful if I could make this stop. Unfortunately, that is a little bit beyond my capabilities at the moment. All right, so I'm going to pass you back over to Chanel here. She's going to kind of give you an update of, is this a new? No, that's the same one. So she's going to give us a little update on what she's seeing on the radar as far as the tornado warned storm here.
So just taking a look out towards Bell City and Calcasieu Parish, we do have that area that is still in that tornado warning, and right on the western side of Bell City, kind of between Bell City and Homewood, is where we're looking at that area of rotation. You can kind of see it here on radar, those darker reds.
So yeah, it's still kind of difficult to pick up on radar, but the dark red and the little bit of green there, that is kind of our best indication, at least on this. It doesn't actually look like that, but that's kind of our best indication of where the prospective tornado is right now, just west of the Bell City Hayes area, and moving in that direction. So if you're in the Bell City or Hayes area, you definitely want to take cover immediately for the possibility of a tornado moving through that area shortly. So So let me come back here. And the line of storms itself is now moving into the Iowa area. So if you're in that area, you're most likely starting to experience some very heavy rainfall, no doubt some gusty winds right along the leading edge of that. Same thing moving up into the Woodlawn area. Fenton, you're about to get in on this. Edna, you're also right on the leading edge, as well as Kinder. You are also kind of getting in on the leading edge of this line right now. Shortly, areas that will be impacted in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. Elton, up towards Mamou, Easton, Prime Prairie, Turkey Creek, up towards Cheneyville. Those areas will be seeing this activity move into those areas here within the next 15 minutes or so. Welsh, you're probably going to be looking at this activity next along the I-10 corridor. That'll be within also probably another 15, 20 minutes. Elena asked, since we just talked about Elton, I'm in Elton. The wind is picking up. Is it almost here? Yes, it is almost here. You'll be there, or it'll be there probably within the next 15 minutes or so. Brunella says it's getting dark in the Welsh area. That's to be expected. Again, you're probably about 15 or 20 minutes away from that activity actually getting into the Welsh area. We continue to have this tornado warning in effect just to the west of the Bell City Hayes area. If you are in that area or know anybody that is in that area, you're going to want to have them seek shelter immediately as the possible tornado is approaching the Bell City and Hayes area. Actually, looks like the best rotation is now actually possibly about a mile or two north of the Bell City Hayes area, which thankfully is a little bit more of a rural area, but still kind of in that general vicinity. I wouldn't necessarily say you're out of the woods in the Bell City Hayes area. These things have a tendency to kind of jump around a little bit. Lisa says the winds are out of the north in Fenton. If that's the case and you are experiencing north winds, then your cold front has passed through at that point and your severe weather risk is pretty much over once you have those north winds kind of developing. So we do still have this tornado warning remains in effect for that area until 2:30. So about another 20 minutes or so, 19 minutes on that tornado warning. We do still have our special marine warning off the coast here, and we've got our large severe thunderstorm warning with the leading edge of that getting ready to move into the Turkey Creek, Pine Prairie area and up towards Cheneyville. Let me go ahead and switch back over to the 4-poke radar here so we can get a better idea of exactly where the strongest of those storms are.
Just a heads up for April saying I think it finally made it to Prime Prairie. It's actually moving quite close, so it's on its way. It's right on the edge of the city.
Yeah, you can see Pine Prairie there on the map. This is just a couple of minutes away from the strongest activity getting into the Pine Prairie area. Pamela says, was there a tornado warning just issued for Lake Charles? No, it is not for the Lake Charles area. It is actually southeast of Lake Charles. It's more of the Bell City Hayes area and into northeastern parts of Cameron Parish. So that tornado warning is in effect, but it does not include the Lake Charles area. It is in effect until 2:30, though. Alexis asks, how much longer until the worst is over? That's going to depend on exactly where you are, Alexis. If you're within the line itself shouldn't last too long, maybe only about 30 minutes or so. But the worst of it kind of extends right now from just getting into western parts of Avoyles Parish, Cheneyville, back towards Turkey Creek, into the Pine Prairie area. Currently moving through Kinder, about to move through Elton here over the next 5-ish minutes or so. Currently moving through Edna, Fenton, Woodlawn, back towards Iowa. Getting ready to move into Welsh here, also within about the next 5 minutes or so.
Probably an area worth watching.
So we've got another area of kind of broad rotation. Where is that? It's going to be southeastern Rapides Parish.
North of Cheneyville?
Just to the north, about a mile north of Cheneyville. That's an area we'll bear watching as well. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a kind of a bulge out kind of in that area right there. Just broad rotation at this point, but something we'll be keeping an eye on over the next little while. All right, so kind of broadening our scope here, taking a larger look at the wonderful state of Louisiana. If you're in Southeast Texas, the severe weather threat has come to an end. In fact, the tornado watch has been dropped for all of Southeast Texas, and will likely be dropped for the western parishes of Louisiana here before very long, probably within the next half hour or so. The severe weather threat continues along and ahead of this line. So if you're anywhere to the east of this line, South Central Louisiana, Lafayette, New Iberia, Morgan City, St. Landry Parish, you are still going to be looking at this to go through. It has not passed through your area yet, so it will be moving through those areas here over the next hour or two. Pamela says the temperature dropped from 75 to 66 in a matter of minutes. That's what we call a cold front. That is a pretty well-defined cold front. Although it's not, it's not really cold, but it is certainly a noticeable distinction. And we've been getting reports of that kind of right behind this squall line here as it's moved across the area. So yeah, it's not just severe weather, it's also cooler weather that's going to be building into the area.
Tornado warning. Marksville and Mensura.
So we've got a new tornado warning that's actually just coming out here. I think that's the area we were just keeping an eye on there, just to the north of the Cheneyville area. This is a new tornado warning just issued moments ago. It's going to be in effect until 2:45, so it's a half hour. And the area of rotation associated with this is just south of Echo and north of Cheneyville, kind of between the two here. This little kind of bulging area right in the middle there, right there. So that's going to be moving kind of from west to east. If you're in the Hesmer area or just south of the Marksville area in Avoyles Parish, you are in the path of this possible tornado and definitely want to seek shelter immediately. So we now have 2 tornado warnings in effect, along with our severe thunderstorm. Our other tornado warning remains in effect. It has largely moved out of southeastern Calcasieu Parish. It is still near or just to the north of the Bell City Hayes area, but it's actually going to be moving the one area of rotation we were watching in that area is going to be moving into western Jeff Davis Parish, otherwise rural areas of Jeff Davis Parish, south of Welsh. And then we had another area of rotation we were watching across north central and northeastern Cameron Parish. That is also over very rural areas, refuge areas for the most part. And hopefully it stays that way. But this actually one warning box was issued to cover 2 areas of rotation we were watching. And then we've got our other area of rotation here moving out of extreme southeastern Rapides Parish into western Avoyles Parish, just northeast of the Cheneyville area, kind of between Cheneyville and Echo at this time. And then again, all along this line here where you see the box there, we are looking at strong damaging winds possible even outside of tornadoes on the order of 60 miles per hour plus. Yeah, so within that, our lower warning box here, we do have an area of rotation that's looking pretty significant. Fortunately, it's out over the Lacassine Wildlife Refuge, but that is the southernmost area of rotation we were watching with that. And that's actually looking rather impressive. It's very likely that a tornado is being produced over the refuge. So if you know any alligators out there, give them a call. Tell them to take cover. For them, a ditch probably is the best spot. For the rest of us, not so much. Shonda, you're asking, is Lake Charles out of the woods? I need to go get my dogs from the vet, but want to make sure it's safe. Lake Charles is pretty much out of the woods from a severe weather threat at this point. Yes, it is still raining out there, mostly light rain, but severe weather is over with for the Lake Charles area. Summer's asking about the Grand Lake Cameron Parish area. What is the red square? The red square is our tornado warning. And we do have a tornado warning in effect for kind of the Bell City Hayes area, as well as northern Cameron Parish. We were just talking about that. Pretty good looking signature for a tornado across northern Cameron Parish right now. Fortunately, it's out over the wildlife refuge. So I think the overall risk for the Bell City area, yeah, the risk has diminished at that point. It looks like the the tornado signature is out of that area. So you are actually safe to come out of your closet now in the Bell City Hayes area. It is still no doubt raining very hard. It's probably still pretty gusty, but there is no longer a tornado threat directly in the Bell City Hayes area. But good on you for going to get into your safe space during that time frame. So we're looking at another area of broad rotation here. This is going to be west of the Welsh area, kind of just east of Lacassine. This is, again, another broad area of rotation. We'll see if that will require a tornado warning, but it is something worth watching. That's actually just to the north of the current tornado warning that's in effect just south of the Welsh area. Ashton says, sorry if this was already answered, but is it now safe to go out and about in the Lake Charles area? Yes, you are pretty much in the clear. It is still raining out there, so if you don't want to get wet, you might want to stay inside for a little while longer, but the severe weather threat is done with for the Lake Charles area. Same thing for Westlake, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Iowa. You are all now in the clear from a severe weather threat. So the strongest of the activity is actually now just moving into the Welsh area. We are continuing to watch an area of broad rotation in that area as well for the possibility of tornadic development. No tornado warning in effect currently for that area, but still likely some very strong winds getting ready to move into the Welsh area with that. Kristen says we need to check our warning boxes. Yours had an entirely wrong date and time. As far as I know, our warning boxes are going out as prescribed. I'm taking a look at them right now. They are correct in date and time. So that may be an issue more with if you're using an app or something along those lines to get your warning. That could be an issue with the app. But it doesn't appear to be an issue on our end. Wyatt says, looking at high-res radar, it looks like Welsh is going to get severe weather. There's a bow out going to Welsh. Yeah, you're getting in on the line of stronger storms right now. You are definitely looking at some gusty winds in and around the Welsh area. In fact, we're also looking at some broad rotation just to the west of the Welsh area as well. So at the very least, some very strong winds. And hopefully we don't see a tornado out of it, but there is some broad rotation within that as well as it's currently moving through Welsh. Sue says, thank you for keeping us informed. I'm east of Fenton and it's raining and cold. Raining is bad. Cold, though, is good because that means the severe weather threat's done with for your area. So you'll just have to be dealing with that rain for a little while longer. And then you will be in the clear. Kristen says she's going to check KPLC to see if the warning dates and times are right. I'm pretty sure they should be. I'm not sure what you were using previously. Katie asks, is this going to continue to strengthen or stay strong as it heads east towards the Lafayette area? Yeah, we don't expect it to diminish with any kind of significance as it moves east towards the Lafayette area. So there will be a risk of severe weather. There is a tornado watch still in effect for that area. And no reason to think that it would diminish before getting there. Teresa says, what's the temperature going to drop to? Well, we're looking at probably mid-60s right now behind the line. That's the numbers I've been getting. And then, of course, it's going to cool off tonight after sunset. But about 10 degrees cooler than it is ahead of the line. Aaron asks, will it be bad in the Morgan City area? There will be the possibility of some strong to severe storms in Morgan City. You are also under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. this evening. So we're still continuing to monitor this tornado warned storm here moving into western parts of Jeff Davis. This one is in effect until 2:30, so about another 6 or 7 minutes or so for that storm. That is going to be essentially south of Welsh right now. We're also continuing to monitor a broad area of rotation moving into the Welsh area, but regardless of whether it's tornadic or not, it is no doubt producing some pretty gusty winds. So you're probably dealing with that as well as some very heavy rainfall in and around the Welsh area. This time, we also have another tornado warning. This is east of the Cheneyville and Echo area. Just want to check on the rotation associated with that real quick. Looks like it's actually diminished somewhat, so that's certainly some good news. Hopefully that's a sign that the storm has, in fact, dissipated. Yeah, it looks like that's much weaker rotation than we were seeing just a short time ago. Our hydrologist is giving me a funny look. Is that not right? The storm up by Cheneyville. You got a damage report? Oh, okay, so we actually did get a report of some damage just north of the Cheneyville area. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see.
Down. Yeah.
So we do have reports of that's actually, I think, our first report of possible tornado-related damage just north of the Cheneyville area. Now, as we just said, the good news is it does appear much weaker now. So if there was a tornado in that area, it is likely not there at the moment. But that is going to be our first report of damage associated with a possible tornado across our area this afternoon. Actually all of our tornadoes thus far have been radar indicated. None have actually been observed, but with the damage, we'll have to actually send somebody out to confirm whether that was a tornado or straight line winds. But that is the first real damage report that we've seen across the area this afternoon from this severe weather.
Grand Chenier Bears watching. You see?
Yeah. So we're looking at another little area of very broad rotation around the Grand Chenier area, right along the coast of Cameron Parish. We'll have to see how that develops here over the next few minutes. Okay, so about 5 minutes left on the warning across western Jeff Davis Parish and northern Cameron. That is in effect technically until 2:30. The other one further to the north, the one that previously produced a tornado, also remains in effect. This is for the Marksville area, and that goes for 15 minutes further until 2:45 this afternoon. Galena says it's rocking and rolling in Welsh. I guess that's a rather flattering way of putting it. But yeah, you're actually looking at the worst of the activity moving through the Welsh area as we speak. You can see right there, right in the middle of the squall line here. The good news is you're probably only going to be dealing with it here for maybe another 15, 20 minutes or so, and then conditions should begin to improve in that area. Emily's asking, will it be bad in Lafayette, and if so, about what time? Yeah, we've been talking about this. Anybody that's kind of east of this line is still going to be potentially looking at severe weather as we go through the afternoon, and that includes the Lafayette area. As far as what time, we're looking at 2:30 right now, so I'd say maybe by about 3:30 we'll see that line moving into the Lafayette area.
Why aren't these things I think it is.
All right, just catching up on comments here and trying to check a few things real quick. I'm not trying to make dead air happen here. But again, we still have this large severe thunderstorm warning now. Western parts of this severe thunderstorm warning are actually no longer at significant risk. So Alexandria, you're technically still under this severe thunderstorm warning, but you are actually not at risk for seeing severe weather anymore. Same thing as we get down towards Glenmora, Oakdale, Oberlin. You're kind of on the back edge of the severe line here. So the overall severe risk has decreased significantly in those areas. But the severe thunderstorm threat, mainly for damaging winds, 60 mile per hour or greater winds, is going to continue across Avoyelles Parish. The strongest of the activity now getting into the Marksville area. So expect some very strong winds up that way, Hesmer, and then points further east from there. Also, this activity about to get into the Bunkie area. So very strong winds expected over there. Bayou Chico.
and then going to be getting into the Ville Platte area here shortly as well. Ashley says, what does the arrow with the 50 over New Iberia mean? That is a measured wind gust of 50 miles per hour. Now, that's ahead of the actual line itself. So that's a not what we call a non-thunderstorm wind gust. Let's see. Get it over here so we can actually pull it up here. It's not showing up on there for some reason. But that was a 52 mile per hour wind gust measured at the New Iberia airport. That was outside of the actual storms itself. So that's what we call the gradient wind. We were expecting gusts to 50 miles per hour or higher, and that is a confirmation that has indeed happened. But again, that wasn't associated with thunderstorms. That was just the winds kind of blowing out ahead of it. Laura says the wind is kicking in Sunset. Yep, you're kind of in that right along the leading edge there.
Tornado warning died. They expired it.
Okay, so the tornado warning that had been in effect for kind of southwestern Jeff Davis and northeastern Cameron Parish has been canceled as the rotation has kind of dissipated with regard to that. Actually, it's been allowed to expire. It expired at 2:30, so it just came off here. We are still looking at one tornado warning left for another 15 minutes. This is going to be up in parts of central Avoyelles Parish. Let's take a look at that circulation, see what that looks like. So still looking at pretty broad rotation. Now, this storm did have a history of producing tornadoes. It did produce, or possible tornadoes. We did have some damage reported just north of the Cheneyville area associated with a possible tornado earlier. This is the same tornado warned storm as that one. This remains in effect for about another 15 minutes, although the good news is the rotation associated with it is now much more broad than it was a short time ago. Hope says, I think someone needs to create weather-related sedatives for these sorts of events. I could stay up and pray I don't give myself a stroke, but I'd rather sleep through it all. I know I cannot be alone in these thoughts. Well, I guess that's the good thing about those nighttime events, is you can potentially sleep through them. But most people, I think, prefer the daytime events when they can actually be awake and then keep an eye on the situation as it's ongoing. So again, still one tornado warning in effect for central Avoyelles Parish, and we have a rather large severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the possibility of some damaging winds that also covers Avoyelles Parish, as well as northern St. Landry, most of Evangeline, kind of eastern Allen Parish, as well as the eastern half of Rapides Parish. This is going to remain in effect until 2:45, so also about another 15 minutes left on that severe thunderstorm warning. We'll see what the winds look like when we get closer to that expiration. It's possible that may be extended. Can't really go too much further to the east, but it'll be reissued to account for the continued strong winds in those areas. All right, so I think what we're going to do here, since we do still have the tornado warning out, but it's a pretty broad-looking rotation at the moment. I think we're going to go ahead and take a break here. I'm going to take a minute to catch my breath and refill my water cup here, and we will continue to monitor the situation as the storms move across the region. We will break back in or come back in with another live briefing if we do see the severe weather threat pick up once again. The severe weather threat is not over with. We are still looking at the possibility of severe weather, essentially from anywhere that has not seen this squall line move through yet. So essentially it's getting into Jennings now, but east of Jennings, this does include Lafayette, New Iberia, Morgan City, and over towards Ville Platte. We will continue to monitor that, but the severe weather threat continues for that area. For those of you who are west of that line, has already moved through. That includes the Lake Charles, DeRidder, Fort Polk, Leesville area, as well as Alexandria. The severe weather threat is over with. It may still be raining in that area, but the severe weather threat has ended, as well as for southeast Texas. So we're going to take a brief break here, and we'll continue to monitor the situation on our end. We will have another Facebook Live briefing if the severe weather threat
increases once again. So continue to remain weather aware if you're along or east of this line, and we'll talk to you again soon.